Hello.
Welcome to the Knitting a Good Yarn podcast.
Look, we got it right.
Yes.
We already knew what our name was. We're already starting out better.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Carmen.
We're coming to you from Southern Ontario, and this is a very chatty, largely knitty, a little bit of spinning today podcast.
Yep. We usually go forever.
Yes.
We seem to keep going longer when we can't even believe we've gone that long the time before, and then we're even longer. So
we'll see what happens.
Get a nice beverage.
Yeah. Get comfortable.
Feel free to stop and start.
Well, we have show notes in the description box, and then we also make little chapters so that you can like stop at places and know where to come back to.
Yep.
I feel like every single time we sit down, I think to myself, like, we've not done this before. Like, there's always something like new about our situation.
Yes.
So today, I'm like, it's possible that we might actually make it under 3 hours today, because this is the first time that we're podcasting at the end of the day, like post-work day. So both of I'm like, it'll be interesting to see how much brain I have left.
I already felt like our intro was hard, so that's like, that's telling me.
That's the hardest part of the podcast for us, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is. That's true. The part that has it doesn't even have its structure, but it has a little more structure, so it's a bit harder.
Yeah.
And we usually, I think, podcast on Mondays a lot of the time. Well, or earlier in the week.
Earlier in the week.
Friday,
earlier in the day.
Earlier in the day, early in the week. So I've been talking for like the entire week.
Yes.
Because that's what I do for my job.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's like my mouth is like,
it's done talking.
Yeah, it's like I thought it was Friday afternoon. What are we doing?
What are we doing? What I was gonna say though is because it's Friday afternoon, like we are eventually gonna lose the light. So I'm like, I always look at the clock and I'm like, okay, let's be reasonable. Let's be around like 3 hours. And then like last time we were like 3.5. Now, like literally the earth is gonna be like, time to shut it down, Jackie and Carmen.
That's so great. And yet, because I'm a golfer, I actually know that that's not true unless we go, because it's about 3:30.
Right.
And it's like about 8:05. So if we go 4.5 hours more than that, we will lose the light. But like, I hope we don't do that.
I hope we don't do that.
That feels too much.
I also feel really rusty because it's been like long. So like we missed you. It's been like longer than usual. Just like life and schedules.
Oh my God.
Us trying to get together is,
you know how it is.
One of my friends was like, all right, we're gonna do something. Time to mount a full-scale offensive on the calendars. Like, that's what it's like, right?
It's awesome. Like to get together?
Yeah, full-scale offensive. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's find our time. Mm-hmm.
But we're glad to be here. We're glad to see you all. And we have quite a few. You've got quite a few FOs.
I have FOs. Although I realized, I was like, Jackie, I got 4 FOs. But then I realized that actually one of my FOs was pretty much done the last time that I showed it. I just hadn't blocked it. Spoiler. So you're gonna see a sweater from last time if you're new. It's gonna be new to you. Blocked. Which is different. It actually is different. Like, yeah. And I think that the yarn that we work with like really does like soften like very much.
I can see. See, so for those of you who are new, Carmen and I, this is a one-shot deal. We don't plan. We also kind of intentionally don't talk about the knitting like leading up to the episode. Like we talk, but like I am intentionally like, I'm gonna wait until like we get there.
Yes.
But I also, so when the podcast happens and we like stumble upon some kind of theme, like usually there seems to be like a thread. I think I know what our thread is gonna be already. It's gonna be about soft fabrics.
Oh, okay. Because I also have an idea, but it's so obvious that I'm not even going to say it. What our theme is. Well, we'll see.
Should we write it down on an envelope?
No.
And then reveal it at the end?
I'll remember it. I feel like our whole audience will be like, anyway, doesn't matter. They'll be like, yeah.
I'm glad about in terms of us working this morning and then doing this now is that when I woke up this morning, it was like raining cats and dogs.
Yes.
And I was like, we'll come podcast anyways. We'd be like podcasting in the dark. And now it is a glorious spring day.
Spring has arrived. But I don't know if that's actually good. We were just talking about our lighting. Like, it is kind of like, actually, I don't know if like bright sun
is actually good.
It's a bit wild. It's going to come and go. Yeah. I guess that's what it is. Photographers always say that actually the overcast day is the best.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it doesn't like change.
Yeah. Well, what will happen is you will get to see the colors of our knits in all different kinds of lights.
There you go.
There we go.
You're welcome. As usual. And we don't have Lily.
Yes.
So we probably are good on the dog front as much as the barking, but there's going to be some. Yeah, because this is what we do.
Do you want to start?
Yes. Well, why don't we start? Yes. So you might not be able to tell because mine is so dark. But we are wearing the same sweater.
It looks super different to me.
Do you know why Pizza's barking?
Because I'm here.
Well, no. It's because I'm about to talk about a sweater that I've knit, and you've knit it, but it's me. Like, he barks. Anytime I have to talk about a sweater, he barks.
He barks?
Yes.
He goes the pattern,
and then I'm all like, so there's the bullet. Oh, hold on one second. And then I have to like go get him and like, and then there's this Pizza.
It's because he wants to come up and be on the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. That's enough. That's enough.
We'll get your cameo, I promise.
He actually probably will not bark too much longer.
No.
Okay. So, do you want to introduce this? Let's introduce this.
Okay. So Carmen and I very impulsively applied to test knit this new pullover that is called the Rib Wave Pullover. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm checking because I do actually have the release date, except I can't remember it in my head.
I was going to find it too if we can.
Okay, perfect.
Talk about this one.
So this is a beautiful, beautiful design by Joanna Ang. And it is going to be published next Friday, April 26th. Is that next Friday?
Yes.
Yeah, Friday, April 26th. So it's coming soon.
We both independently, I think, like saw this.
Yes.
I know that when actually I have to say, back up
story.
Carmen's story. So Joanna Ang, sorry, rusty. Joanna Ang, I test knit her Koyame sweater, pullover, years ago. It's one of my favorite sweaters still, and her construction was so beautiful. She does cables in this way I really love, but also like stockinette. It's not full cables. It's just, I remember how beautiful it was. And since then, I had a million sweaters of hers I wanted to knit, but never like kind of figured it out. How to get it into the queue, because you know how it is, right? It's not like you don't knit something because of it. You don't knit something because you get distracted by all the other things, and then you're like, oh my god, I still haven't done that. So right before she released, or she talked about this test knit, I was actually craving a Joanna Ang pattern.
Yeah.
Not a cable pattern, not a whatever. I was like, I want to knit one of her patterns again. Like that's what I'm going to do next. And then this came up on Insta. She had this beautiful
picture.
And I'm like, it's everything. It's everything. It's a different like shape. It's got cables. It's got like.
Joanna is one of those designers. This is my second Joanna Ang pattern.
What did you knit of hers before?
I knit her cocoon cardigan. Oh. Like a very long time ago, except I feel like, okay, let me back up. So, I've knit one of her patterns before, but I knit it early in my knitting days in which I was not paying attention to gauge. I hadn't figured out what my magic numbers are. And so I knit this pattern and I didn't really understand ease at the time. And so it made a really nice cardigan, but it's not, I made it too small, essentially. And it wasn't to gauge. But I remember when I knit the pattern, I was like, the construction and the way that like the pattern unfolds, I couldn't anticipate. So Joanna has this quality of, first of all, she designs like beautiful sweaters. Like if you just go to her Instagram, you will see that she designs sweaters that are ethereal with like just enough detail and just like, I feel like it's not your standard sweater.
Yes. There's a reason I craved a Joanna Ang sweater.
What is it that you crave about it? Like,
yes, it's different.
Yes.
It in whatever way it is. It's like there's a specific feel to her sweaters, to her aesthetic, that isn't wildly different from others, but is different enough that I would know. I feel like if I was shown a picture and somebody asked me like who designed that, I would know, even though if you were to look through her Ravelry or her like options, they're not even like the same sweater. They are very different.
Every sweater is different.
But there's a few pieces that are very her. I think like traveling
cables,
details,
and, like,
a different shape, like something that's like just a little different from what you would normally do. And she's incredibly clear. So like you're just so easily
you're held through the pattern.
I don't even know. I'm trying to think in my test knitting, like if I had anything, it was the tiniest little suggestions. Like I just literally just flew along. Yeah. Like, there was no problem.
Yeah. When I think about Joanna, I think about like, so having not really properly knit any one of her patterns, I look at her patterns and I'm like, these are so intricate.
Yeah.
And there's a sense that there's a lot of thought that goes into not only the details, but also the construction.
Yes.
Right? So when this came across the Instagrams, I think you knitfluenced me because I think you were like, I think I'm gonna apply to test it. And I was like, oh my God, if Carmen is testing this thing, I'm not gonna be able to survive if I don't also have the sweater. It's just not gonna happen. But you know, the nice thing about test knitting is it's kind of like you hand your cast on over to the designer. Like if they choose you,
then you know that's what you're doing. If not, you're waiting.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring, and then Joanna so lovingly accepted us both to the test.
She's a lovely person to work with too.
I mean, I just because I feel like
we should explain why it looks so different.
I have never seen a construction like this.
Oh, I meant R2.
Oh, R2.
Yes, but also start there.
Like, so, technically it's a drop shoulder pattern.
I think so.
I'm trying to think. Gosh,
there was
I can't
so
even
much back and forth.
You cast on the front.
It was only like 3 weeks ago.
I don't know.
I understood the whole way though. Like it was like.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay,
we did the back.
You start on the front,
which you did the front.
You did the front.
Yes, we did.
And it's this like there's like ribbing and there's like this traveling cable, twisted rib and this cable. So it was just one of those patterns that of course it was incredibly clear.
Yes.
But you're like, what's happening?
Yes.
Like how is
this next?
It was one of those test knits that I really appreciate. You know how sometimes designers do like secret test knits and you don't actually get to like see the garment? This, like Joanna was like, this is what it looks like, I need some testers, right? And I'm actually super glad that there was a like reference photo because as I was knitting it, I was like, what are we doing except in total trust of it. So you sort of start with the front and then you pick up the back and you start to knit the back.
Yes, that's right.
These traveling details
like
along
down
with it.
Each side.
You eventually join in the round and sort of the details sort of continue and then you pick up for the sleeve.
And this
the sleeve
is another piece of Joanna.
Oh my gosh.
Like I feel like guys, there's not even another dog. Hey. No.
I'm starting to feel like maybe it's not in fact Lily that Pizza barks at. It's me. I think I'm the problem. It's me. There was actually somebody at the door. Anyhow, I mean, just the detail of this, the detail of the sleeve. I feel like so one of the reasons that I really, really was so excited about it is like, obviously it's stunning. But the second thing is that I love a V-neck silhouette.
Yes.
But I find the V-necks that I've knit, it's so hard to find the right shape V.
Yes.
Like
how deep it
is, the angle, and I remember looking at it and I was like, this is just the perfect line. It's the perfect line, and I'm not needing to like worry about this. I actually feel like it's aesthetically just so pleasing. There's just enough detail. It's proportionately perfect. It was an absolute joy to knit, and I love it. I love it so much.
You probably talked about it, but like
I did not.
Isn't that just a lovely neckline?
It sits perfectly.
Yes.
Like
it does.
Just
It's just so nice. It's so nice.
This is my new favorite sweater, potentially my favorite sweater of all time. Now,
and you showed the.
I know there's recency stuff, right? Like that usually, often it's our like most recent cast off that is our favorite sweater.
Yeah,
but
you can tell when you know it's going to be a winner. Like, yeah, it is beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's detailed.
Show this more.
Like there's no sleeve island.
No,
there's no sleeve island. That's
just
always. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous.
So like, do you see? You just are
just
so.
our arms.
I know. Hello.
Hi.
Let's do the robot. Can we get it?
No.
Coordinated? No. There we go. No.
No.
No. We suck. Thank goodness we know how to knit. It's not dancing that we're doing. Yeah. You literally just have something to do. You have something to do the whole way. Like even right in here, right? Like you're not just, it's not endless stockinette. You go around, you've got a lot of lovely stockinette, but then you have it here and you have it on the back.
These little details.
You
Oh
know?
my goodness.
It's just, for me, the kind of things that I like, because I don't love an endless stockinette. I just personally do not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't always love like a continuously busy something. Like,
Yeah, where you're always doing
you
something.
know, and I'm just
all
like
the
having to
time.
focus.
Yeah.
Like I like something that I can bring something, you know, if my kids are at an activity and I'm in the car, I don't want to be like on a chart.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like I wasn't on a chart, but I was a little bit for certain parts, but then
You just sort of have to peek every so often.
Yeah.
So what I would say is like, you know, these cables, you figure it out fairly
Yes.
quickly. And so you're sort of working very similar details with stockinette interspersed. And I mean,
like look at it. Look how beautiful it is.
I feel like it's one of those sweaters that is like quietly gorgeous. And like the more I
Yes.
look at it, the more I fall in love with it.
Yes. And it just fits. It's just
The fit is amazing. The
it just
proportion is
feels
amazing.
really lovely, and it can be dressed up or down.
Yeah.
It's like
Yarn.
yarn. So the reason that this looks different.
We both
I
knit
followed the
extra
rules.
small. Yeah,
Yes.
you did follow the rules.
Yeah, the small. We both knit the smallest size, which I usually don't do. I usually do like the second size of things, but it actually allows for a lot of positive ease. I did put the measurements in my Ravelry. I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure. I know. This is what happens when I test
Amazing.
it, at least. Although I
Joanna,
have to
I'll
still
get there, I
do
promise.
I do. I have to do the weighing of things, but I have to say, it only took 2 skeins of my.
Okay, talk about your yarn.
Okay, sorry. Yes. Thank you for the focus. That's required. So I am. This is Sonder yarn. We are in a Sonder yarn kick.
Yeah,
It
we
just
are. It
is
just is.
as it is. So mine is Sonder yarn 4-ply Sunday morning 4-ply, which is BFL and Massam. 75% BFL, 25% Massam. As my, well, that combined with the Halo base, which is the Mohair silk. My 4-ply Sunday morning is in Matinee. And then my Halo is in Elemental. So I was kind of thinking like, I really wanted a neutral. Funny enough, like as if anybody's been here, I'm quite a like color kind of person, but I'm noticing that, I don't know, I'm going through a little phase of like certain like
Wanting some
neutrals,
classics.
some like blue and greens and like, you know, so anyway, I was like, this will be really good at work. And like, here I would tuck it in. I tuck it in with this skirt, but then otherwise you can see like how long it goes. Like it's just comfy, right? Anyway,
Looking at you makes me feel cozy.
it is so cozy.
Like elegantly
I feel like
cozy though, right? Like it's not
arms
like
are
sweatpants.
perfect.
Like I love a sweatpant day, but like it's like, oh, look how elegantly beautiful I am. Like
I'm so elegantly cozy.
I mean, that's
it's true.
you
It's
on
like
a
I
regular
should be
basis,
sitting
but-
in a really nice like lounging chair
Yes.
with like sweet socks on and reading a book and
Yes.
drinking tea and like, but I'm, yeah,
and you're not reading like a trashy magazine, you're reading like a book.
like yeah,
You know?
Jane Austen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how, okay, and I will say that the way that Joanna designed, the wool she used actually was a very similar it was the same content, but a different producer.
It was a woolen twine.
Woolen twine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Twine Fibers Studio.
So I kind of made it the way that she...
Good little test knitter. Has a project page. Knit it in the yarn suggested.
Not my first rodeo.
Did all the things.
It's the only time I do it.
This little rogue test knitter. I asked.
This one was funny because when she said she was testing, I'm like, Jackie, are you able to do this? Like, literally are like flying across the world, but I'm like, she'll do it. I know she'll do it.
I did. Yes, I think the test either came out like on the day that I was getting on the plane, or I was like at the airport and Carmen's like, I'm gonna test it. I'm like, I'm gonna test it.
I wasn't even sure if you had yarn.
Like,
I
was
was like,
yarn.
okay.
I absolutely did not have yarn.
Did not.
I knew that this was gonna be like a mad dash. And
she did it though.
I was like, I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring, and I know that I'm gonna get it done before the deadline.
Yes.
But
if I'm given the opportunity,
everyone's like swatching and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, without yarn.
That's a lot.
But anyhow, so mine is also knit in Sonder yarn. This is their I can never remember this. Sunday morning Luxe Sport.
Yes.
Which is a sport weight. It's a sport weight yarn. It's 300 meters per 100 grams, and it's in the colorway Shhh. And I held it single. The composition is 25% Massam, 65% BFL, and 10% cashmere. And so we have waxed on and on about how much we love this newer base that Melissa from Sonder has brought in, that you can really feel the cashmere. And the last time I knit with it, I knit it holding mohair.
Mohair, so did I.
And so I really wanted to experience it on its own. And this test knit process, along with some of the knits that I have today, I had a bit of an epiphany about being a loose knitter and gauge.
Okay.
Because I have that the Sunday morning 4-ply like fingering. I have it in stash. I could have knit it in that.
Yes.
But I've been knitting my twig sweater in the
Yes.
fingering held single. And I knew what my gauge was in that. And I remember when I was swatching for that knit along with other things, working with the fingering like solo, I was getting a gauge that I was like, I was not happy about the size needle that it was taking me in order to like land in the gauge. And so in my mind's eye, when I looked at the gauge of the test knit, I was like, I don't actually know if I use the recommended yarns, whether or not I'm going to be able to get row gauge. Because row gauge,
I never get row gauge though.
I never get row gauge, but I realize like for those of you who've been here, it's always like, oh, like I'm a way looser knitter than Carmen.
Yes.
And over the years of us like knitting similar things,
True,
and
yours
looking
was
at
too
stuff,
big and mine's too short.
Yes.
Sorry.
But I'm not loose in terms of stitch count. My row gauge is super loose. And so this is when I looked at the pattern, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit
it would be way too long and big.
Yes. And I was like, okay, it's the V-neck phenomenon, which is that when you have something that has angles like this, your row gauge actually matters.
Yes.
Because what I didn't want was for this to like come down all the way down here.
Yes.
Or for me to be knitting the fingering plus mohair at a tight gauge in order to hit row gauge, because then I feel like the whole like ethereal gorgeousness of working with a fingering plus mohair in order to hit, what was the gauge, like 18 by 30 something? I can't remember. 18 by 25.5.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I was thinking it was 30.
I just felt like it wasn't gonna happen. But I remember I loved this base and I just really wanted to work with it on its own, and I just had this like sneaky suspicion that I would be able to hit gauge. And I held and I knit this on the recommended needle size and hit gauge exactly, holding it solo.
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
So I was like, again, I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring and sort of see what happens. And if it works out, it works out. And if not, then I, you know, have an extensive stash that I can be diving through in order to like find it. But it worked out really nicely.
It's
and
beautiful.
I'm really happy to have a fluffless knit.
Yes.
Especially coming into
the spring, because I am a little bit hot.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, and you're wearing like a linen skirt.
Yes.
Yeah, and all the windows are open. And so for me, it was like, I also have coveted this color for a very long time. And it was one of those moments where it was like, there's beautiful matching mohair, but I just want it as it is.
Oh.
And so
I love that.
I feel like it is for me, it's like the perfect spring color. I've worn it out once and got stopped.
Aww,
which is like, you know, from like a knitter's perspective, it's like I wore it out once and someone was like, oh my gosh, that color and that sweater. And I was like, thank you. I didn't actually say that I made it. I was so dumbfounded. I don't know. I was just like so pleased with myself that I lost all capacity to respond. But yes, so it comes out soon. You know,
it was fast.
Second sweater girl, I'm already like,
she made this even though she had some other things going on, as I'm sure we're gonna see. And like I think it was 2 weeks.
Went surprisingly quickly.
1 day to do. Each of the sleeves took me 1 day.
Because it's so fun.
Yeah. And they just go. I mean, 18 stitches is not actually too bad, right? For like bad. It doesn't take that long. Yeah. And you're just like going around, like it just felt really fun.
Yeah. On the balance of like effort to product.
Yes.
And like, I think the elegance and the nuance of the finished object, like you're putting in considerably less work. What I will say was kind of new for me. Maybe everybody does this. I won't show the entire pattern, but what I will say is that, you know, when I received the pattern from Joanna, there were many pages. And part of the many pages is because she really, like in my head, I'm like, how did she grade this thing? Because the construction is so interesting. It's unlike anything I've ever knit before. And there's like different sort of pieces for every single size.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, like, can I do this? Am I like a proficient enough knitter to be able to do this? But one of the things about the pattern, which I think relates to fit, is like most of our bodies have different ratios for different parts of your body. Mm-hmm. And so if you want the shoulder to be nice, and if you want to have this like beautiful, like sort of neck, you're like, when you're increasing and decreasing, it's not consistent. Right?
Yes.
So in the pattern, it's like she holds your hand through the entire pattern.
Yes.
But in the pattern,
you won't be confused.
You won't be confused. But in the pattern, like you're doing increases. It's not like, you know, for example, Easy Like Sunday Morning by Melissa. It's a free pattern. That's why I'm referencing it. It's like, you know, row 1 I'm increasing a certain way, and row 3 I'm increasing, and then row 1 I'm increasing a certain way, and then and it's like consistent. So you can sort of get into a rhythm, whereas this is one of those patterns where the increases are happening at sort of like different rates, of course. Yeah. So I was like, oh my goodness. And then you also have to tend to cable charts as well. Mm-hmm. Right? There's multiple. So you're working with two and starting in different charts and starting different parts of charts.
It all ends up being obvious, but at the beginning it is a bit
it's like but what I started to do, because I'm like a visual person, I don't know if you guys can see this.
I actually did the same thing.
Is like, the instruction will say like repeat row 1 and 2 like 4 times. Yes. And then something. And so you have like, you know, 10 rows where you're doing a bunch of things at the same time. So I make these little like checklists and I color the increases so that so that I don't like lose my place. There's also something like really satisfying about checking it off. And then also you don't end up missing and then having to think back. Yeah. Just that extra piece of that, I feel like also I'm somebody who does not typically read through the pattern from the beginning to the end. But I'm like, I'm gonna be a good test knitter and I'm gonna read from beginning to the end. But to be honest, there are different sort of sections for the different ratios, and I was like, I don't know, I got like 2 sections in and I was like, I can't read this to the end. Like, this is not making sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I can't visualize it in the way that a basic raglan, I can sort of visualize, okay, so I'm gonna like do the raglan, and at some point I'm gonna like split for sleeves, right?
Yes.
And the question is just like, how deep, how whatever.
100%.
So I have all these, I made like all these little checklists. And I think it was super helpful for me to make the checklist and like color in the increases so that I had a sense of it. And so not only are the increases there, but I also like sort of noted, okay, if I have to do this for 10 rows, here's where I'm starting in the cable chart and here's where I'm ending in the cable chart, because there are a couple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And where your size is, you're starting in different places too. And then like, and so I did not read through it, obviously, because I just don't ever, and even when I'm testing. And it comes to you, like how to do, like, because I ended up doing very similar things. One thing along the lines of what you're saying is that in a complicated pattern, in a very easy pattern, I will like, you'll have a row and I'll be like, do this how many times, whatever, and I'll just do little checks. Yeah. Like, and I'll just count my checks. But if there's more of a complicated pattern, I actually write out the numbers. Like, I'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, just like you did in these things. And then I mark off the number. Yeah. And there's something different about that because you know where you are and like where you're marking and stuff. So yeah. It
just made the process like really easeful. And I felt like not only had Joanna held my hand, but I was also like holding my own hand through the process, because this is not something where like you can definitely read your knitting to know where you are in the chart. But because there are two charts that for some parts of it, the charts don't line up. And then there are certain parts of it where in a very satisfying way, the charts line up exactly for our size. Yeah. You know, there was that little voice in the back of my head that was like, you're test knitting, like you can't fudge this. Yeah. You gotta do the real thing exactly as written. Yeah. And that really helped.
But it did work out. Like, I remember on the sleeves, maybe that's where you were talking about, like, where there was like this, you've got this like cable pattern happening first of all, and then I think you can see it on the thing, so it kind of splits off. And it happened to be that when I split off into this part here, that I was on a row 1.
Yeah, row 1 of one chart and row 1 of the other chart.
And so I was really like, oh yes, so this works. Like, if I was on a different row, I mean, you would be fine.
You figured out, yeah.
But it was really satisfying.
It's like the like tiny pleasures.
Exactly the right. Yeah. Actually, I think that's one other thing I loved about. Well, I've only knit, can't believe I'm saying this because I've only still knit 2 patterns by her. But in both cases, I think we have the same like gauge. Like, I think our just natural gauge is the same. So I just use her, in both cases, I used her needles and ended up with like very similar gauge. And so when I was doing it, I'm like, oh, I got to that point and I have exactly because she gives you the actual length. Yeah. And I'm like, that is my length.
That's another thing that I really appreciate in a pattern is when you're offered. I mean, I actually got row gauge, which I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like, I'm so meant to be like test knitting this because I like went rogue, but I actually am hitting gauge and I'm gonna follow this like 100%. And it's the everywhere.
Yeah, I have windows open.
I forget what I was saying.
The row gauge.
The row gauge.
And you were excited about that.
No,
now it's gone.
It's gone. It's not important.
Into the universe.
Into the universe.
Isn't that funny how that really changed the lighting? Isn't that weird?
It really did.
It's just the like I have
glass doors.
Glass doors. So,
I guess the glass is like diffusing the light or something like that. It shows how much we know about these kinds of things. Nope, it's gone. Oh, what I was gonna say is like the little wins in your knits. You know, that are like like seemingly inconsequential, but at least bring me so much joy, like in terms of the process. You're just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And that's what I realized actually about doing these little checklists, because I rarely do them. I only do them if my brain absolutely can't hold all the pieces at the same time. Yeah. But I realize, like, moving forward, there are other times where I'm knitting patterns where I absolutely could be doing this. And it would just allow me to be a little more settled in the knit. Yeah. And also the like fun. Crossing out thing is so like little wins. I'm just like, yes.
I love a check mark.
And yes, and yes, I do love a check mark.
It's so
I don't love a list so much. Are you somebody who loves lists?
I make lists.
I feel like your face answered the question. whether or not you love
I have
lists.
planners. I feel like I want to bring my planner down because every time I try, I like make a planner, but then I keep not doing any of the things on the list. And so like every week when I'm doing it, or maybe it's 3 weeks later and I look and I'm like, oh damn it, I haven't even done it. I've got to put that on the list. And do I go do it right away? No, I do not.
I like a bulleted list. I do like lists. Shocker. I like lists. But I don't like crossing things off lists in the way that I feel like some people are like,
oh, I love
get
to cross it. Like, maybe because it rarely happens, but like, I love to cross off.
I hate crossing off lists. I really like a check mark. I don't like a strike through, and I don't really know why.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I prefer a check mark. So my planner has little boxes and you put your thing, and I like, yes, I don't like a strike through if I don't have to. I would rather have a check mark. If that's what you're asking, a check mark.
That is what I'm asking. And
Yes.
I'm like, I'm making myself little things that I can check all the time.
Okay, I thought
like
you were
every
saying you
single
don't
check,
want
I'm
to
like,
check off things. I'm like, I love to check. Like, I love to accomplish.
Do you know what also I love doing with lists? Not always. It depends on, like, when you have a list and you've, like, completed a lot of the list, but, like, there are a couple things and you, like, make a new list. Oh, you just circle it. I make a new list. Like, if I have, like, a 10-item list and I've done, like, 7 of the things, it brings me great joy to, like, tick off all the things and then, like, make a new list.
Do you know what's so funny is I like to look at the list that's already done. Like, if I make the new list, now I have a list of 3 items.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I leave it and I circle it, I'm like, I have to scan through all the things I have to accomplish. So I'm like, yeah, car. Oh, here's one. Oh, you can do that. And then there's like,
I think there's something about the neatness. And also, there's something about the fact that, like, when you're like, when I'm transferring the list, I don't have to think about the list. Like, I love a list that's there. I hate making lists because my brain is like, oh god,
it feels like
there's like
of time.
29 things, and like I can't remember them.
Yes.
If I'm writing a list, it's because there's 29 things, and I'm like, did I get them all, or did I get like 23 out of 29? Whereas if I like tick off 8 things, then I'm like, oh, there's just 2 left. I'm like, look at this tiny list that I can accomplish that I don't have to think about, and I like know that I've completed everything.
Yes, I generally try to get it on the list as I think about it. So that's what, like, because if I don't, no, I'm not clever at all. I like, and I still don't do it. But
yes,
if I
you
don't,
are. Oh, Miss PhD.
Well, anyone who's done a PhD knows. It's like, it's hard to get in. It's hard to not pass. Anyway, you all know, I know, all of you who did grad school know exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh yes, so I will forget things, so I'll think about what I need to do, and so when I have a planner, which if I remember to bring the planner, which is my whole plan, but I don't always do it, then I write it down and I add it to my list. And then I each week have to go back through the old list and I check off and make sure what like I've done, and then I have to move it over, and there's some things that just keep getting moved over, and some things are just taken off the list without even having been done.
That's okay.
Is it? Well, it is okay because I still exist. There's still energy. There's still like electricity.
And you're killing it raising your kids, and you're killing it in your professional life.
I'm knitting a lot.
And actually, a knit list is a list that I like to make.
Oh, I love a knit list.
You have a knit list?
Yes. What?
What?
Yes, I do. I don't follow it, but I do it. I write them and I say, these are all the ones I'm going to do. And then and sometimes I do it. It's in my planner. And sometimes I do it. And I'm like, these are your whips and these are the things. And I cross it off or check it when I'm finished. But I don't always do this, but I like it. I love doing it. I love making it. I just don't always.
Yeah, I love making knit lists until I get to a point where I realize that the things that I've listed that I wanted to knit, like,
or out of season,
just far exceed what's actually possible.
100%.
And then I'm like, oh no, and then I delete the list.
Oh, you
have
it
on my phone.
electronically.
Yeah, I have it electronically.
Oh. I actually would really enjoy deleting a list. There's like a whole outline.
Satisfying.
Not done.
It's so satisfying. Like it's more like self-protective because I get like completely overwhelmed. But what I love doing is like making a list of patterns and then being like, I'll use this yarn. Yes. I'll use this yarn. I'll use this yarn. And then like when the list becomes so long, I mean, it's just like, one line. It's just like pattern name and yarn. Not logged in like a meaningful way that I could show you, but like, you know, it would be like Joanna Ang sweater, pinky. Like it doesn't actually say actual things in order like to keep it short.
Right, because you know you're gonna have a lot.
Because I know I'm gonna have a lot of items.
Yeah.
But once my like list gets beyond the size of my cell phone, like one screen, I'm like, oh no, I can't deal with it, and then I just scrub it all, and it's like deeply satisfying.
Absolutely. It's reminding me. I'm sorry for the dogs. I'm sorry, even when they're not even in the house, they're still causing problems. So the other day, I'm
tangent time.
Tangent time. It's all tangent time. I'm doing yoga, and my watch is charging. So I don't know anybody else who has an Apple Watch. There's this like activity tracker, right? So there's steps. There's like how much you've done, how much activity you've done, and it was sitting, and my watch was charged, and I wasn't wearing it. I was doing yoga. And my husband came in, and he's like, "You're not wearing your watch." He's like, you're not getting your credit for the thing. And I said to him, I know. Over the past like 3 days, I have decided I am rejecting my watch's activity tracker. I will do exercise on my own with no credit because I don't care what the watch thinks about my exercise. I'm angry at my watch. I'm rejecting my watch's. So yeah, it's
just
kind of like,
because, or
yes,
is just okay, just because.
So it's kind of like delighted. There is a relationship here that it reminds me of like deleting a list.
Okay,
because I'm like, what's the list about? Well, it's about me and what I want to do. So if I don't want to knit these things anymore, click. And if I want to exercise or not, I don't care if my watch knows I did. I know I did. So why do I care if the watch knows?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I don't like to feel beholden by lists.
Yeah.
Like this is why when the list gets immense and I start to get overwhelmed because I'm like, Jackie, you can't possibly knit all of these things and new things are coming. Like there's gonna be new things. And then I feel like sad and discouraged when I look at the list. I like scrub it and I'm like, okay, whatever makes it on the list again is what's actually supposed to happen.
Yes.
I do feel a tremendous amount of admiration and aspiration towards the people who like make a make 9 and then like make their make 9.
I did that when those came out. I did most of my make 9,
really?
But that was years ago.
You made a make 9?
My first year of knitting. That would have been like 2019 or something.
My mind is being blown right now.
That I didn't finish it, but I did a lot of them.
I just have always conceptualized you as like Carmen who knits with the wind. As opposed to like Carmen who makes make 9 lists.
Now, to be fair, my make 9, I was too constrained by the idea of the make 9 patterns. So I changed it for myself to designers I wanted to knit.
Oh, okay.
So my make 9 was it had to be like these 9 designers.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of them.
Nice.
And that was the last time I did that.
Are you a make 9er? Do you make lists?
I haven't seen make 9s lately. I haven't seen them for a long time. Have people been doing them even this year?
I don't know. I feel like every so often somebody says something. Or like, at the beginning of the year when everyone's like stating their knitting intentions.
Yeah, but with make 9, because it used to be.
Yeah, there was like a 9 square.
Everybody had the make 9 square. I don't actually remember
they
this year.
They still exist. I can't remember. Like, yeah, I don't think it's like as big a thing as it was before. Yeah. But I have a little 4 square that I'm working with.
4 square, like you have 4 things you want to complete this year?
No, okay. Like total tangent time.
Another one.
A total
tangent from the tangent. You're getting a sense. If
don't
you're new here,
all
this
tangents
is no, this is a meta tangent. Yeah.
Okay, we've like split and then we've like
we
split
started
again.
with knitting and then we went here and now we've got this has made us think of here.
Right. Okay.
We'll come back around. Have you forgotten?
No.
4 square. Okay.
Thank you.
You're like, no. Yes. I know exactly what I'm about to say.
I haven't forgotten what I want to say, but we try that this is a little more like it is stream of consciousness, but there is a flow, and I was trying to figure out like where I picked up from. Anyhow, make 9 4 square.
Make 9 to 4 square.
Okay, so one of my knitting idols is Kristen on Instagram. She's Cozy Made Things. You've heard me talk about her before, and I'm like I had the delight of listening to her talk about her making process for like 3 to 4 hours, and I was like, oh, this is so juicy and amazing because I know Kristen from Instagram, and she has, if you don't follow her, she is a beautiful maker, and even more than a beautiful maker, she's somebody who like shines in her makes.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful. And there's the beauty there's a beauty that's like somebody who understands aesthetics and proportion and cameras and lighting and that kind of stuff. And not that Kristen doesn't have those things, but one of the things that I love about her, one of the reasons she is like one of my knitting idols, is that she just, her and her knits like meld into this feeling of just like creative joy.
Yes.
So when you see her wearing her knit, there's just this like expression, like there's this energy that comes off of it that's tremendously nourishing to me.
And I wonder if it's because for me it feels so authentic, like, and I know that's like another one of these words, but I actually really mean it, because it's like I feel like when I see Kristen, I see her.
Yeah.
And when she knits, it's her knitting actually completely represents who she was at that exact moment when she was knitting.
Yes. Yeah. And she wears her knits with a sense of ownership, and like you can, like, it just feels like there's so much behind this process.
Yes.
Now she also like writes as beautifully as she knits, so that's the other thing. That's in part how I fell in love with Kristen. Anyhow, she will drop a link to the episode below, but she was interviewed by Jackie Rose, and it was one of those interviews about the creative process, which, as if you've been here, we adore.
We have a little interest in.
Yeah, it's not always just tangents about lists. It's a lot of tangents about the making process. However, so it was like, of course, like totally up my alley, and then getting to like go behind the scenes of somebody who, you know, I've been admiring, and like to just like really understand the like internal process. Anyhow, one of the things that she is experimenting with, that she landed on, that really inspired me, was the idea of having like, is the idea of having like knit categories. And part of what she was speaking about it is this phenomenon that I think a lot of us makers experience in all different kinds of dimensions of like, there are so many patterns, what am I gonna knit? Or like, I have, you know, I have so many sweaters, like what do I want to knit next that's going to help me to like round out what I want to be wearing. So one of the things that Kristen came up with is the idea that she has like categories of knits.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I do love that.
It inspired me to sort of think about like what my categories are, and I have to say, Make 9 was not something that ever like I think assisted with my creative process. But this like 4 square, because there's 4 categories, has totally assisted with my creative process in the sense that it's kind of like if I don't love it, I don't knit it, right?
Yes.
This is like how I am.
If you don't love the product,
if I don't love the product, the process, the material, like I just won't do it unless I love it, because like life's too short.
Yes.
And I don't have the willpower.
This is not professional,
right? So, but what I feel like the 4 categories has done for me is it's allowed me to understand, like it's allowed me to like harvest what I love about the project as I'm doing it.
Beautiful. Right. You know your purpose.
Yeah, I know its purpose.
That makes sense.
I have this like sense of like recognizing how that project nourishes me. And then there's always the unfolding of how it will then nourish me beyond the parameters that I think it's going to nourish me. So like my 4 categories are things for my like work wardrobe, my like professional work wardrobe. I don't know why anyhow.
I know.
I'll get there. And then there's like knits for like yoga and retreat, which is also my professional. Gotcha. Like that's why I laughed at the air quotes because, but in 2 different settings. Then there's a category that's like just for the art of it. So when you see a knit that is just, there's something about it that's creative that, you know, I'm not thinking about colors. I'm not thinking about how it fits in my wardrobe. I'm just thinking that is a piece of art, and I believe that I would like to partake in the making of the art with it. So for the art of it. Yes. And then the last one is like for the energy of it. So for me, for the energy of it is actually this process of taking my eyes out of the equation. So that I'm knitting things that are about the energy that the knit carries, and it's independent of how it looks.
Interesting.
Which actually, you know, if I go back to my like knitting origin story, which is like Newton is really what like kicked it off for me, is that my process used to be, here's this loaf of Newton, it has a color, and that's also an energy, and I would like listen to it basically to see what it wanted to become. And I wasn't knitting really with aesthetics being at the forefront of it, or like wardrobe being at the forefront of it, or like purpose being at the forefront of it. And I feel like
creating what this yarn wanted to become.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And a lot of those pieces are still some of my pieces that I reach for like comfort, and that I reach for in which I feel very much like at home in it, in the way that I feel like
you're enveloped by this energy that you
I created, and that also like arrived for me and supports me in a certain like space.
That makes sense.
But what's been really interesting since I've been like playing with the categories is recognizing sometimes that I like this was for the art of it. I wasn't thinking about like purpose at all. Really? But now that it's knit, I realize that it totally is like, it fits into the more the non-yoga clothing, retreat clothing bucket. It definitely fits in like for the art of it. And then there's something about this colorway and this pattern that the like energy that it gives me is just like, I put it on and I feel like a super person.
Oh.
Like I just feel like all the different iterations of like beautiful. And I think that's one of the things that our knitting can do for us.
100%.
And what part of what has surprised me about the process, and that I like love her, especially about this knit, is the fact that like it was kind of a surprise in the sense of turning my process upside down, because whenever I knit with Newton, and when I start with Newton, it's this like, it's putting the energy of it first. And then when the finished object is done, more often than not, it does represent the energy of the whole process and the energy that like I tapped into at the beginning. But this was one where it was like art unfolding into an energy that I didn't even really know that I needed.
Right. Aww, and that landed for you.
It's almost like that process, it has a like a surprising, unexpected, ephemeral beauty to it, because you don't know where it's gonna end.
Absolutely. That's so nice.
And
maybe it hasn't ended.
And maybe it hasn't, right? It'll continue. But I love these moments in which like our making process becomes more than pretty yarn, pretty pattern, feels nice on the body, right?
Absolutely.
Like all those things.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
right?
This one was very different. Yeah,
there's something really special about this pattern.
And like kind of going along with what you said, like I saw the original and loved it, and then I started knitting it, and it's like I didn't go back to the picture. I think you even said you knew where it was going. I actually didn't, and so I was surprised. And even when I got to the sleeves, I was like, are there things on the sleeves? I'm like, I bet you there are, because like Joanna always has things on the, but I didn't exactly know what it would be. And so it was like this, oh, there's that, or even like the little cables, or the cable in the middle. I'm like, how does this all work? Oh yeah, it's all coming together. What happens with this? And I didn't look. I just like, it unfolded.
Yeah. And it's like this moment, this like life imitating art thing where it's like for me, like the yarn and the gauge and everything like came together, and then the finished object also came together to sort of like unfold again. And there's something about this pattern that I think is really special. It's a, maybe I would say that it's a pattern that doesn't have any forgettable sections. Sure.
Like it's a constant, you are with it the entire time. You have to pay attention. There's no like mindless.
Yeah.
But it's never so, as I was saying earlier, it's not so involved that you feel like you're working.
Yeah.
It's just, there's not one part of it actually that doesn't have some kind of bit where you have a little bit of a check-in with like awareness.
Yeah.
Huh.
I
think it's really amazing.
So, and art isn't like, I feel like we're so lucky to have so many designers with different points of view.
Yeah.
And that,
and they offer all these different things.
Yeah.
I don't always want this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Do you know what's reminding me of, again, it's Tangent City today because we're just not...
It's Friday afternoon and we
we're
can't keep on track.
It's a good thing we're still talking. We've got words. So my grandmother passed away actually like a few months ago. It was okay, 98, I think. Like, wonderful life, wonderful life. She was very, very devout Catholic. And so I think the present, it was for her 90th birthday, my sister and I gave her a rosary.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my aunt was out there for the funeral and everything, and was able to find the rosary and brought it back.
Yeah.
And so I don't use rosaries, but the thing is, like, the idea is that there's like 10 beads and then you have another like bead so you're doing 10 beads of one prayer and then you do another prayer. Okay. The beads change, right? Okay. And you're able to kind of keep track. It's like a mala too, right? Yeah. Like, and there is something, it's reminding me about that with this sweater in some ways, of this like check-in. Like, it's like, you're not just doing endless prayer, the same prayer, you're doing it in this group, and then your hands come to another thing, and you're like brought there. I've never done it, but I'm imagining that's what it feels like. And then you go back into the thing. That's what this sweater, it's almost like a rosary sweater. Yeah.
Well, and that's the feeling that like you were being met again and again and again and again because of the shifts in the pattern and because of the way that things sort of like beautifully come together, and the tick marks. It was just like this process of constantly being met by the knitting.
It's cool.
Which is so cool.
Like, I don't know, have we convinced you? Have you noticed how much we like this pattern? Like, it was really...
You know what? I feel like it's rare for me to adore the process more than the product, because I love the product of most of the things that I knit.
This one
but
included.
It's possible that this is the knit where the process was even better than the product.
I think it's equivalent for me, and the only other one I could think of would be the Impo, because that's why I was able to give it to you. Because it was like, I loved the ending, but what I really loved was knitting. Yeah. But luckily, we're not stealing each other's.
Yay! Well, this is why when you were like, I'm going to sign up for the test knit, I was like, I must also sign up.
That's true. I should have been like, oh, you're doing it? Good, I'll just steal yours. But then I would have missed.
Then we would have missed the whole like experience of doing it. So
I think these look really nice together.
Me too. And for this is a rare moment in which I'm not sitting here desperately coveting your sweater.
Absolutely. Although I do kind of want to know what yours feel, but I can try that on later.
Try on. Well, we can do the switch. Do you want to do the switch?
But I don't know if that's very useful for. Do they need to see that? I don't know. I just want to see what that yarn feels like.
I feel like we always do the try on.
We always do the try on. It's so fun.
Oh, the fabric.
I know. It's so interesting. So the ease is so much bigger, right? Mine is so much bigger ease.
Oh my god.
But maybe I have it. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I have to look again. Also, like, I actually measured my.
Okay, so this is interesting. I did shorten the sleeves, and I thought I knit the body to the specifications, right? Evidently.
I think I might have lengthened I don't remember. I'd have to look. I think mine might be a little bit long. This is really pretty.
The fabric.
This is really nice. Because I really, when you were saying without the mohair, I was like, oh, I do want to know what that is like.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see in my other knits, mohair has been very present.
Yes.
But as the weather starts to shift, I no longer want mohair. And also about like 6 weeks ago, I had like a 2-week period where I thought I might have been developing a mohair sensitivity, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do with all of my fluffy knits? Like, I can't have a mohair sensitivity. I was so bizarre.
It's very strange.
It was so bizarre. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't like having an allergic reaction, but I went from like, oh, it's mohair to like, it's mohair.
Yes.
So big.
Immune systems are weird.
Yeah.
I am going to also knit something in this color because I'm in love with it.
I feel like it's like a sleeper, sleeper agent of a color.
And it's called Shhh.
I know.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, every time
very different, but this is really cute. I like this fit. I always do this. I always want Jackie's.
But it's so funny because I could swear I did measure it. I did measure
I
mine,
might
and
have
I'm
made
pretty
mine
sure that
longer.
I'm like, I was like so proud of myself because I was like, I hit gauge. It's meeting the things. I wonder.
It's funny because I said I hadn't worn this, but I think I have, and so I don't know if it might have relaxed. I'd have to like look at the gauge again. Maybe it's like relaxed more.
Yeah.
After wearing.
Yeah.
But
I find especially like BFL Massam, a lot of the knits, it blooms beautifully and it changes with blocking. I find that my row, I grow a lot in terms of my row gauge with BFL Massam, but then I feel like there's like this second aging process of when it
really finds itself.
Yeah. I feel like I need
But
to
I wonder if
knit
it's like
one
new
of
to
these
knit
now.
where it's like
It's shaping to you.
Yeah, it like does what you want. This looks really beautiful.
It looks so,
it's
like
really.
I feel like I do want one like this.
I feel like
Like
this,
a wintry
so
one.
Her original idea was a much larger ease, which is why I went with a smaller ease.
Size.
But this one seems much smaller.
It does. This,
but I like it.
Bella's test knit also, in which I don't know what happens with my sleeves. That somehow my sleeves always always go super tiny.
But you have shorter arms.
I do have shorter arms.
So you're probably
I
adjusted
adjusted it for it to be bracelet length on me, but I do.
And these are the perfect length for me, like where it's coming right to here.
That's your preferred sleeve length?
I shouldn't say. Sometimes I like it this one too, but when it's long, I like when it comes like, it just has a nice feeling to be around here. That looks really beautiful.
It feels really nice.
It's nice to actually be able to see it on, because when I was looking at it on camera, I wasn't able to really see all the details, but it's actually very obvious.
I have to say that the camera is not showing off Carmen's to the degree of how beautiful it is, like how much of the pattern you can see, and like even the it's so pretty. It's so pretty.
Everybody needs to knit this.
Okay.
Okay.
I swear we did spend 1 hour.
We did.
Well, but we
the evidence.
A whole bunch.
The evidence.
We did tangent a whole bunch.
Okay. I've got Pizza's hair all over me.
I love this.
I know, it's beautiful.
Okay, the coveting is back.
We never should have tried it
I
on.
know, it's true.
Because now I'm like, but I like you.
Okay, but the best part is that you can knit
share.
it again, and we can share.
Isn't that even better? Just sharing.
I would knit it again. I mean,
I'm
a knit a toys girl.
Yeah, you are. 100%. I'm about to knit another one. Well, I don't know if I'll ever get to.
Something?
I am. I'm gonna make a turtle. I'm making another turtle dove cardi after all of these intricate knits, which you'll see. I'm like, I have other whips to finish, and I'm like, no. And I actually have another FO I wanted, or not FO.
Whip?
Well, it would be a whip, I guess. To start a cast on, I want to do that's crazy intricate. The part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, first.
You need a palette
I
cleanser.
need the palette cleanser, and it's gonna be my turtle dove.
Please.
Should we talk about this?
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Because I'm gonna put it on, I better take this one off because I'm gonna overheat if I put both of them on. So, do you have yours done?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna say we could do those
No.
together. I have another FO that was fresh off the needles last night. I wasn't sure.
Carmen.
I wasn't sure, but it happened. My Artus shawl.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Honestly, I am thrilled. Like, look at how that turned out. Isn't it beautiful? I just love these colors. And I messed up. You brat. Well, we'll see at the end because there's probably things I would trade. So what I was supposed to do, thank you. What I was supposed to do is actually this color was supposed to come back where the red is. No, sorry.
Hang
where
on.
the pink is.
Can we back? I mean, most people know about this shawl, but let's.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the Artus shawl by Natasja Hornby.
Yep.
It's a mosaic shawl that has 5 colors.
5 colors.
Yeah.
This one. By the way, this took 1 skein. I didn't even break into the second.
It's a 5 skein mosaic shawl. There's like 1 main color, which I think is this. What navy is it? Cover to cover?
It's cover to cover, and you see there's a nice waffle pattern, which was not fun, I have to say. I did not enjoy the knitting of the waffle pattern, but you never have to do it again once you finish. Because I was worried once I was getting through this, I'm like, oh my God, do I have to do the waffle again? Oh. And then it was like, no, I didn't, thank God. Yes, waffle pattern, then you have some mosaic knitting color work, which you may know. means you're just carrying one
Contrast color.
one color at a time. So you're not like, it's not stranded knitting, you're just like,
yes.
Which is easier in some ways that way. Also, it takes a lot longer, in my opinion, because it's like you're doing 2 rows, like it takes 2 rows to get anywhere.
We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, well, I'll come back.
I have thoughts about this,
yes.
But continue.
So then you're going into this. Now, mine, so you might think that I use the same color here and here, but it's actually a different color. This one is Matinee and Espresso Yourself. So I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, you can. You can
so
see it.
you can see that this one is the cover to cover, and then this is the Matinee, and then this is Espresso Yourself. So in this section, these sections are those two. If you had more of a contrast between this and this, you'd obviously have more of a contrast in here. And then you jump into the color work section, and you're just like moving your way down. I should show you there.
The wrong side is also gorgeous.
That's beautiful,
Look
hey?
at it.
Like,
Oh my
I mean, it's really because you're not carrying anything, so you're slipping your stitches. So carrying the floats is easy, and they're very, I think 5 was might have been 7 was the max. Can't remember how many in between. Now, I was going along. Now this is a funny thing because you cast on at the beginning and you're just with one color and you're like, when am I gonna get something else? And then you get 2 new ones. You get like these ones, which in this case I was actually like, man, I wish my second color wasn't so close to my first color because it didn't feel very different, but it was still fine. You do this and then you have to go back to your I'm just giving you the real
waffle.
deal. You gotta go back to the waffle. The thing about it is because you're knitting flat, there's purling and moving your
there's
your
purling
yarn
and
forward and
slipping
slip stitches, and you're just ugh. I didn't love it, and it wasn't intuitive to me. I even messed up at the beginning.
It was hard to I would imagine that it's hard to read in that color.
Yes, true.
I think that's actually
Maybe
I think
part
that's
of it.
more of it because you really are it. I remember looking at it, and I'm knitting mine in single strand. Usually I didn't bring it because I haven't made any progress on it. But I remember looking at the pattern before I bought it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a great meditative knit because it looks so geometric.
Yes,
that you could just
read your knitting.
But
I couldn't.
There's something about this waffle pattern that it feels like you should be able to read it, but I was not able to read it, especially in a variegated, heathery knitted in on the back. So you're counting 2 and 1 and 2 and
That's
1
right.
and 2 and
you
1
can't
and
read
2
it on the
and
back.
1.
That is what it is. You can't pay attention. You can do better on the front, but not the back.
But it's that little sneaky thing in the back where you're like, do I got it?
Yeah.
Do I got it?
Sometimes I have to be
because I mean, this is in fingering way. You can imagine the stitch count, and to tink back is just
I had to a few times.
me too. And I was like, F this knit.
I was so mad. There was
not fun.
Quite a number of times I had to actually take back.
So despite the geometry of it, it's one where it looks like it's gonna be meditative, but it's meditative in the way that you have to be on it all the time.
It's very present. You have to be present.
Yeah.
Present focused meditation. Anyway, so you go along and you're like, oh my God, finally at this, but you still don't get to add a new color. It's like, but at least I'm doing something new. So then you finally get to your next one. And I stopped paying attention to the charts in terms of the color selection.
Because it's intuitive, right?
You think, oh yeah, totally.
Once you get here, you can read and it's easy and fun. Okay.
But what I'm saying more is in terms of the colors, which color you're using. Because I didn't pay attention to the fact that I did this, and then this one is supposed to be going back to this one. So these should be reversed. And I was very worried that this wouldn't look good, but I'm actually so thrilled I didn't because I love these together.
Hang on, so where the light pinky purple was supposed to be navy.
That should be navy. So these would not actually touch, they would have been here.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
Me too. It's it's glowing.
This section, I mean, all of it is beautiful, but my eye is just loving this combo.
Me too. And I love, okay, and if you watched any of the old, this took me a long time to choose colors because I had this very light, beautiful one, actually very similar to a Jackie's Twigs, color combo. And I'm like, I just need a moody shawl. I just felt like I needed a moody one. So, but I was going back and forth and like, these will be together. And I sent Jackie a million pictures. And then the irony when I wasn't even what I thought, but it was what I think I thought I was going to do. But then anyway, I'm very happy.
It's so beautiful. Okay. Also, this fabric is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's
so again,
ridiculous.
Today, it's not all, I promise you, it's not always going to be all Sonder all the time. But we are in the Sonder kick. We are just loving Sonder so much. Sonder yarn.
Yes.
And yes, so.
Well, you know what it is for me? It's that, so Knit City is next month.
Yeah.
And we're going to Knit City.
We're
we're going to help at the Sonder yarn booth. So I have basically been dream knitting the outfit that I'm going to wear at Knit City.
Yes.
And because
of the
we're
people getting to try on.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I've been doing too.
And,
I want to
so
knit everything
been in this
Sonder.
like Sonder. I've been in this like Sonder kind of glut because I'm like, I'm imagining getting to share the knit with the people in the booth.
Anybody who's coming,
please
just
come
know,
say hi.
but I'm gonna be like, try this on. I'm gonna be like draping it all over. Don't you need this one?
Oh, you know, I don't like red, but I do like this.
It's just the tiniest bit of red.
What I was gonna say is that this to me is like Carmen is a color genius.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Because it's moody. It's also incredibly classic, but you just like, you know, like a gorgeous like navy with like a red and like a brown, and you know, I feel like thinking about 4 colors with navy and red and brown, this would not have been in my, like I would not have thought, let's go look at a pinky purple, but it is just so good.
I do really love how that turned out, and I really love them how they
play with each other.
That just worked out so well. Thank goodness.
This is like, you know, I think again we talk about this a lot on the podcast, like how things, what the process seems like it is when we are just like, hi, here's an FO.
Yeah.
This one, like it was a long process.
Yes.
It was a long process of arriving.
Many
different options.
Yeah.
And I just,
I'm very happy with how it ended up being, because it's a lot of work too. It wasn't painful work, but it wasn't also like just simple.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't our fleur shawl that was like so just enjoyable garter baubles, and you're just feeling so nice with it. Like it had stuff, and there was
intricate. It was intricate.
Now the one thing I would say is that, and I don't know if it's how and it's probably like row gauge and things that I did. I never checked gauge on this one.
What did you knit it on? Do you remember what needle size?
So I went up needle sizes.
Okay.
So it was suggested 4s for the this part, and then for the color work that you would go up to 5s, and I did 5s and 6s. So that's 3.75 and 4 millimeter needles. And that was partly because I knew I wanted it to be a little longer, and I also knew that the Sonder, so this is the 4-ply again, the Sunday morning 4-ply, and I knew that it was so versatile that it was going to fill out any gaps. Like I wasn't worried that it was going to be too airy.
And also in the original pattern, she uses a sport weight yarn.
That's right.
Yeah.
She uses sport. Well, and for that reason, I actually thought that I should go down a needle size. Not down a needle size, but I was worried that it might be a little bit airy because.
Okay.
But I
gotcha.
just knew. Yeah. I just knew with this stuff, it just. Like you can
tell, massive
it just blooms. It just like fills in all of the little
gaps.
Pieces of it.
Because I think it's because it's a woolen spun 2-ply.
Is it woolen spun?
Oh. It seems woolen to me. I actually might have made that up.
I don't know. Is it? Maybe.
I don't know.
So this is how I wear.
Sorry, I don't know if it's woolen spun, but it has a low twist and it's very airy.
It has a very low twist. Even like, cause sometimes you'll even like catch this thing will split, but that's good.
Look how beautiful.
Like I love to wear a shawl like this, particularly if it's that.
And the way that
pattern.
It like falls, the where it falls on you is just perfect.
It does feel nice, and even here too, right? Like it lines up. I like when things, I don't know if I got this on nicely, but they line up.
Yeah.
When I do it right. It kind of just, it's really lovely. It is a bit It is a bit short though.
Like the wingspan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't pin it to block it, so I could, if I wanted to, probably stretch it out more if I
Like
really
this
wanted
way.
to. That way, and maybe like I could probably stretch it more, but I also I really do like it, and it's a nice one of like just wearing like a blanket over me. Little shawl pin would be good for this
just
too.
the like lines of it.
Yeah, it's just how I wear shawls though, right? So like I just don't. Here we go. I can't wrap, and Jackie has tried to teach me a million
Yes, you
times.
can.
Well, I was laughing when I was like upstairs, and I'm like, okay, put it on. Can you do it? And I'm like, no, I can't. Does this one come? Oh, does this one just sit there, or does it come over on this side?
I actually don't. It comes over.
It does, right? So
Yeah.
I would kind of like
Yes.
do this.
Yes.
This is for all of you out there. I know I'm not alone. I know there are people that watch Andrea Mowry and are like, that seems so easy.
Wait. Something's not right.
See? I know.
Something's not right.
I know.
Okay. So
that one, does that one come over here, or does it just
it comes over here, but how do I express this? The way that you wrap it around makes the wrong side go out. And that, I think, is one of the challenges with you and shawls.
How do I do that?
I don't know.
What
I
am
don't
I
know.
doing?
I just saw it happen, and I was like, how did that happen? Okay, there you go. Looks great.
Does it? What do you guys think? Does it look good? I don't know.
So I think it's gorgeous. I think it looks like a triangular shawl. And so we tell the truth here.
Yes.
I don't
You
love
don't like
a triangular shawl because
wrap
I don't, I think, well, part of it, I do think part of it is because I'm petite, height-wise. And triangular shawls, just the dimension is that they end up super deep and the wingspan is short. And
some of them do.
Some of them do. I mean, obviously it
fleur
depends.
is massive long.
But the fleur is not a triangular shawl.
Oh, it's a chevron.
It's like a triangular shawl and a crescent shawl had a baby.
Right.
In terms of like the increase, like it's shorter and longer, and that's why I knit 5.
Maybe because I don't often wrap a thing like this. Like, so I love a triangular
You just
shawl
like
that I
the
put
way that
over
feels
my,
that
I
way.
like it like a blanket.
Yeah.
So it works for that. It's a little short for that. I think I can like make it a little longer. It'll probably relax.
Yes. I think the other thing about, for me, for triangular shawls, like it depends on what you like to have around your neck, but they're like, I feel like in order for it to like drape nicely for, depending on your like torso length, like how far you want the point to be, you have to like scrunch that part, which is what you've done, right? Like you sort of like scrunch it up, which actually really, really nice and cozy.
It's really cute, actually. I like all that.
Stunning.
It is stunning. I think part of me with this kind of pattern, because there's so much work in the pattern, is maybe also why I want to have it across my back.
Yes.
Because I'm kind of like, oh, there's all that waffle pattern I worked on gone.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? I could have just done like some garter.
Plus the lines of it when you wrap it around.
Yeah.
Look, you wrapped a shawl.
I did it. Well, I didn't. You helped me.
There's something I remember, was it last episode that we had the traveler shawl? That I was like, cannot express to Carmen what it is that I want Carmen to do.
And we had comments, people like, no! I think somebody was like, oh my God, it almost like gave me like embolism or something. Like it was like, I can't, like she was screaming at the screen going, Carmen, put it there. And it's like, oh no.
She's a good teacher.
Makes sense.
But part of what I remember about it was the wrong side, right side situation. I feel like I've just had an epiphany on Carmen. The shawl, like it's the way that you wrap the the like little wing. I call it the little wing, like baby wing that comes around.
What do I do? So I put this around like this.
Exactly. Beautiful. You want your baby wing to come around and for the right side to be showing.
That happened.
There you go. Okay, now wrap. Now wrap mama wing over.
Can I hit you?
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah. And then mama wing goes underneath.
Oh, mama wing. And okay. All right.
Look!
Okay, that's not that bad.
But this one, I do think it's small.
It's too small for this wrapping, I think.
Yeah.
But I still love it.
Epi, it's so beautiful. I mean, I love how we're judging it, trying to get you to wrap it pretty, when the fact of the matter is,
I know. It's so
perfection.
pretty. It's so pretty. I love it.
It's so pretty. Okay, this makes me feel like I should actually complete mine.
Yes.
I'm like, I added the first color. I'm at the part where I've added the first color, but the first color, similar to you, doesn't have a lot of contrast.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
you'll be excited. You will be excited when you do the rest. It doesn't take that long. It's not that long.
The number of stitches that are on the needles though, oh my gosh. And then there's a 7-stitch I-cord.
Now, it's an even bigger I-cord.
Oh, great.
Because there's this part where you're knitting it, but you're not attaching it. There's rows where you knit and don't attach. I have to look at Ravelry. I started and I did about this much and I hated it. It was twisting in this weird way. Actually, I did it around the corner because I did do that one the way they said, because I felt like that one needed some extra. I can't actually see it, but see, a little bit. It kind of twists. It was twisting. Anyway, so I said, F that, and I ripped it out. I ripped out my I-cord, my 7-stitch I-cord, which had every certain number, a whole set of things that didn't even attach. So you're like extra, like it's even bigger than a regular I-cord. And I ripped it out and I said, I'm just gonna do a regular one. But anyway, it's nice. It's nice.
It's so beautiful. And it's like moody, but it has that Carmen pop.
It does. It had to have.
It has the Carmen pop. Yeah.
I'm very,
You're
very
having
happy.
a navy moment.
Oh, I am. I put all my things out like today, and there's only one that's off because I'm like, whoa, I really am having a mood.
Navy moment.
Like, yes, right.
Mood. Navy mood.
I almost cast on another matinee, actually. Yeah. Picasso did it. Now it's Carmen.
Amazing.
All right, what's next? Is that your old Urus or is that the new one? Okay.
Old.
I was like, did you make the vest? Because I want to make that vest.
What shall I show next? I have two finished objects. I'm not sure if I'm going to show them both. And then I have 2 whips that I'm at like an I don't know place.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. You hate it? I'll take it.
No, I'm
like, wait a second.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh my God, it's like perfect for yoga too.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I know you're too short. Oh, I would touch it, but then it'll go.
This is the Umma Cape.
Look at
AEGYO knits.
You here.
Do you think it's good?
It's beautiful. It's like draping you perfectly.
Thank you.
Yes.
Damn
it. Don't say that.
You can try it on. So this is the Umma Cape by AEGYO Knits. Beautiful. It is knit in Sonder yarn, Sunday morning Luxe Sport in Clean Slate, held with a strand of the white mohair. I forget what the colorway is called. It's Hibou.
I forget it too. Hibou, yeah.
And this was a joy to knit for 95% of it.
Okay.
Super interesting. You start at the top, and see there's like this little like flappy situation, which was interesting to do. I'll talk about the process in a second. And then once you get this sorted, then you're knitting back and forth basically garter with these little moments to create the sleeve.
Beautiful.
And then there's like obviously decreases here in order to create the shape. And I loved all of that.
Okay.
What I didn't love was the sleeves. And I think this might be one of the process situations. Because I knit it 3 friggin' times.
Really?
Yeah, so, okay. You all, if you've been here before, you know that AEGYO Knits is like everything that she releases. I'm like, I need to have it. I love all of her patterns. I loved this because I just thought there was something about it that when I looked at it, it seemed just like so like effortless and chic and like elegant and beautiful. And I was thinking about yoga and teaching retreats and like I just thought that it would be perfect. I have to say that the process of knitting it with the pattern as it's written, it's not the easiest pattern to make sense of.
I feel like that's often the case with
AEGYO Knits. Like, I mean, the Euro sweater, which is this all over cable sweater that we adored. I opened it. I bought it when it first released and was like, I don't understand what's happening. And then she re-released it. So they do make sort of changes to the pattern.
Yes.
Here, this pattern, I don't know if there are mistakes in it or if I don't understand the way that she writes.
Okay.
And so there are these moments where you're like, what? Like, I'm doing this now, why? So there were some fits and starts around it, and I kind of went rogue. Didn't go rogue, but there were certain things where she sort of said, where it said something, and I'm like, if I do that, it doesn't make sense. So there were like 2 places where the numbers didn't make sense, and so I just went with the numbers that seemed to be aligned with whatever it was that it was.
Yep.
I knit, it comes in 2 sizes, I believe, and I knit the small size. And so part of the reason that I'm like not sure if I love it is because if you look at the way that it lays, let me find the original. If you look at the way that it lays on her, it doesn't look the same on me. And you know, we've had this conversation.
It's so many times.
So many times. Like,
oh yeah, it's much bigger.
It's
Wait a second, it's way longer.
Much bigger. Yeah. So this might have been me in terms of the sizing. I knit a small, and it's possible that I needed a large, except when I think about there being more space, like, I hit gauge,
it's perfect.
But in my head, I want this to be like down like here.
I see.
And when I look at it, and now all of you will not be able to unsee it, there does this little kick. It's like my sleeves swoop.
Yes, they do.
At
which is what I like about it.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, it kind of has a cap sleeve feel.
like,
Yes, that's what I mean.
I love
and
a
I
cap
imagined it like, I love wearing sort of like dolman kimono-ish things, and I'm like, this swoops and leads to a strange temperature phenomenon. Because it's mohair, it's garter, like it just feels
you
not.
have to have long sleeves.
Yes.
Basically. I hate that though, because it looks so cute as that.
But I do think that it looks really chic.
Yeah.
I feel like it embodies, you know, when I'm on retreat and I like teaching and speaking and sharing and guiding, like this is the vibe.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about that.
Yes.
I love the color that it ended up being.
Me too.
I think what sort of surprised me is like, I think the camera's making it look like a little bit more than it actually is, but there is this sort of like heathery, marley, almost variegated. The Clean Slate is there. It's like a undyed. It's like the natural sheep's color, and I love how it sort of created that way.
And what's really interesting is actually like the pearl rows, pearl bumps or something look different than the knits underneath. The knits underneath look actually gray.
Yes.
And the pearl bumps look cream. So you end up with this like stripiness.
It's this like subtle
but why?
stripe. I don't know how it
they're
happened.
held together. You're not alternating. It's amazing.
I don't know, but that's one of the things that I loved. I was like, it's like ultra, 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 ultra subtle camo.
Yes.
like
which is the way that Jackie would
which is the way I would just like camo, okay, like just take the contrast down to barely discernible, but like I love the color. I love the like sort of gray classic cream.
Yes, I love
that it is.
I
just wish that the arms were like a little bit down here.
Supposed to. Now, can you pick up? Like, can you do anything?
So this is, I did it. I knit 3 times. Okay, so 2 things about the pattern. One is that, in my opinion, when the section of the pattern that tells you how to do the like decreases in order to create this opening, the numbers don't make sense to me. Now I didn't actually write to the designer and ask because I was just like, it's figure outable. What isn't in the pattern, which again, you can totally look up on YouTube, but I didn't, and just like assumed that I could figure it out, is picking up along a garter edge. So this is a really, I mean, it's really mindfully knit. If you look closely, there's this little panel of ribbing so that your sleeve is not like open all the way down. It's so clever. It's so mindful. It's brilliant. What it leaves you with though is this thing that I've never done before, where basically, if you can imagine, you're knitting back and forth, it's garter, and then suddenly you have like ribbing, and then you have to pick up along the ribbing in garter to get this thing. And you can even see here, there's still a little bit of puckering.
Yeah.
And I did it 3 times, and I just could not figure out how to do it properly. So to be fair, I've never picked up like inside of like in the middle of the fabric before.
Yes.
There is a line because you switch from garter to ribbing. Which would make sense. But man, the number of times that I had to do that, I'm not super satisfied with it, but I was like, I just can't. And I don't really think that, I don't really know. Like, I don't think that it's going to get better than this.
Right.
Because she does sort of say, okay, this many rows and you're picking up at a certain ratio and so on and so forth. So I followed the pattern. But when I followed the pattern with my row gauge, it like the first time I did it was like, shloop, 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 shloop. It was like brutal. So I did it 3 times. I did it the first time, it didn't work, ripped the whole thing out. Went back and did it again and realized I was getting this like little swoopy sleeve, and I was like, she doesn't have a swoopy sleeve.
Because
what have I done?
Down to her elbows.
What have I done? And then I looked at some of the other like people who've knitted, and a lot of people have the swoopy sleeve. Okay. And then when I put it on, I was like, it's like this little cap.
Yes.
Maybe if I extend it, then it will come down to the edge that I want it to. So I knit additional rows, and then it came out like
worse.
It was like a cowlick on my arm. It was like, shloop. I'm like, oh no. So then I had to rip it back and then do it again. So there's a little bit of like distress knit in this knit, but thank you for like affirming that it is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Because I was like,
gorgeous.
Is it good?
Yes.
Like, is it beautiful in my head? And when I actually put it on, it's not as beautiful as I think it looks.
No, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
I do think, again, it is one of those pieces that challenges the notion of like handmade looks like handmade.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
No,
like that,
this looks like
it
elevates.
It elevates like a knit.
Yeah.
And oh god, the fabric.
And you said, was this a Luxe or
this is the Luxe? Yeah. So this is it's sport.
The Luxe with the mohair is crazy.
With the mohair, I knit it on a US 6 or a 4.0 millimeter. In the pattern, again, I went rogue. But in the pattern, I think she holds a DK plus mohair or an Aran.
Okay. And you did sport
and I
plus
did
mohair.
Sport because I was like,
good.
It's immense.
Yes.
And one of the things that I also learned, this is why I brought it, one of the things I learned from the Urus sweater,
love,
is that there is a maximum weight of a sweater
that you're gonna feel comfortable
that I'm gonna feel comfortable in. This is almost 700 grams.
Yes.
And on a cold day, I love this thing, but I don't wear it as much as I would like to wear it because it's so heavy.
Yes.
And so when I was thinking about in the pattern, like what she was suggesting and like what the yardage was for her gauge, I was like, this sweater is going to be like a kilogram. And it's not actually going to be a kilogram, but it was like reaching 700, 800. And I was like, you know what? I'm a loose knitter. My row gauge is always
too long.
Like it's too big.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to try it with the sport and the mohair. And I got stitch gauge.
Okay.
And so
how much did you end up using?
So this is what's crazy. I ended up using 4 skeins, like just under 4 skeins of the sport, which is just under 1,200 meters of the sport. Yep. And then very similar in terms of the mohair. I'll put the stats in. I weighed it, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was for this size. I'm 5'2" for reference. It was like 1,200 meters of both. It was like 3 skeins of mohair and 4 skeins of the sport. Wow. And I do like how I do think that it's, part of it is the light airiness of it. Yes. So I'm happy with the choice that I made to kind of go lighter because
it's really beautiful. It has like a Princess Leia like feel to it to me. which I always
Oh,
love.
it does.
Yeah, it feels like it would fit in like
Yeah, so
Star Wars.
that's the Umma Cape.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it is perfect. Like, I feel like this is designed, like it goes around your shoulders so
It does.
perfectly.
I will say that, like, you know, one of the reasons AEGYO Knits was the Geo sweater, which was the first pattern of hers that I knit, was what introduced me to this like contiguous sleeve, which is a great construction for my shoulder.
Yes, yes.
That leads to a really nice drape. But what this knit made me realize, I believe, is that I think I do have quite wide shoulders compared to her. Because that's the reason why this is short. Because if my shoulders were more narrow, right? Like then it would come down
a little further.
my
But
arm
that's pretty significant.
a little further, which was pretty so
And
her
maybe she made
shoulders
them
are
large.
possibly.
Yeah,
Possibly. But I wouldn't, like, if I could just like, you know, wave a wand, I wouldn't switch to the larger thing because I don't want more fabric back around
so
here.
pretty.
I think that line is perfect, and if I had gone large, then it would be more like this, right? Like there would just be more fabric.
Would it be, or would it be more closed?
Oh, possibly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it would be more like that, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that there's, you know, ways to play around with it.
It's so
but the way
pretty.
this feels, like it's so yum. It's just yum a million.
It's
a million yum.
It's so beautiful.
So this will be at the Sonder booth, and you can try it on.
Look at this.
All
All
these
these
things?
things. Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if my dress is gonna be the best or skirt for that. Yes, this is the thing we are like knitting. We're knitting for everyone coming to Knit City to try on all these things. It's very pretty.
Oh, it's really nice on you too. Oh, stitch marker.
That's all right. I wouldn't wear it with a big skirt, but
Okay, it's kind of amazing how it seems to find its place on.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Like-
it's like because it fit your shoulders so perfectly, and I actually think it looks really nice on
It
mine
looks
too.
really nice on you. I think it's
Oh, it
gorgeous.
smells really nice too.
Doesn't it feel
It
luscious?
feels and I can see, because the window's open, I can see the temperature issue, which is hard because it is so warm and cozy.
It's so cozy.
And then you're like, but my arms.
Yeah.
But I really like the look of it having bare arms. This is the hard part. I don't know if I would like it as much. Well, I would like it, but not
Yeah,
maybe as...
if you see like
it's so
a lot of the
pretty.
other testers, they're wearing a long sleeve underneath.
Makes sense.
Which makes sense, but I love how it looks aesthetically with the bare arm. But I'm also like a little too warm in some places and a little too cold in other places, and
Because
it
it's
hasn't
everywhere.
landed yet. I think it hasn't like landed yet, and then it also grew a lot in the blocking, and so when I teach. I typically am not sitting in a chair. I'm typically sitting on a cushion or a bolster, and so there's like I wore it, and there's like a lot of cape. Like I feel
It's
like
like
I'm in
you're
like
a
a wedding
bride.
dress with like a train.
I
And like I
love
gotta
this.
like kick my Umma Cape train like behind the bolster, which is and it just feels like I have a lot of fabric like back there. I'm like it's like
I could see it, and what's funny is I sat on it.
Yeah.
And it's reminding me of every time I've made a knit skirt, which is so, it's actually reminding me of why I want to make more knit skirts, because
Yeah.
it warms your bum in this
I
like
know.
super nice way. But again, you're going to be warmed, like you're really warm.
It's
like
really
everywhere
warm.
that you're touching is like warm. But this is, you know what, it is nice. Is it nice? Is it like, would I want it to be warmer than this? Like maybe I like the cool
I know, I don't know.
arms. What I don't like, this one's working better than what I really find I hate is when things have holes in the sleeves. Like I remember way back making a sweater that had a bunch of like holes.
Oh, like lace sleeves.
Lace sleeves, but like
Yeah,
big
yeah.
holes. And then I was freezing. Like it was like I was too warm here, but freezing here. It was too much. Whereas, which is
Did
funny.
you hold mohair?
No, it's just regular. It was super wash that too. So.
Okay. Yeah.
This is really pretty though.
It looks really nice on you.
See, again, I feel like I'm in like Star Wars.
They're just like there is something that like when I put it on, I feel like I've like leveled up in a certain way.
It's so high fashion.
Yeah, and it's like that's the power of wearable art, right? Is what it can evoke.
Yes.
In us, depending on, and it's really more. I believe it's more about how we feel about the garment than how the garment actually looks. But I do feel like, I've never been in a situation where I have to put on a power suit. Like I can count on the like on one hand the amount of times that I was like, I need to power suit situation. But I'm like, this is the Jackie version of like, this is Jackie's power suit. Like, do you know what I mean?
I
like,
see it.
There's just something about it that I think is so beautiful.
And if you're ever like sent away in a spaceship and like you're supposed to like, you know, like you have to bring an outfit with you and you're going to be like frozen.
I just had a crazy, like I won't actually do it, but from an editorial point of view, could you imagine having leather gloves that come up to like here?
Yes. Why
Who has leather? I don't know. Because I feel like in what scenario am I going out wearing leather gloves with bare arms?
Fair. But you know what? You could do arm warmers, right? Like that would be another thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I just like had this vision.
No,
like you were saying,
gloves are amazing.
You were saying Star Wars, and I was thinking about like leather. Like I feel like, oh my god, I need to be wearing this with like leather, like shiny tights.
Suddenly, it actually
like,
now we've changed
motorcycle
from like super
boots
to like Annie Lennox for some reason. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like bikery like situation, and then I feel like the long things in my head are leather.
Yes, 100%.
Which like do you just have like arm length leather things? You know what it reminds me of actually? Did you ever watch the TV show Scandal with Kerry Washington in it?
Yes. She would have worn this.
That's exactly when I saw like
absolutely.
Carrie, if I lived a different life, if I wasn't like a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher who was just like wrapping people in blankets and adjusting blocks and bolsters, Kerry Washington's wardrobe is what I would want to wear.
That is so true. And look at how versatile that look is. You can go from like Scandal, like, you know, PR or whatever, like, you know, master, to like yoga.
Well, actually Kerry Washington's, she's one of my like in my head, she's one of the most like well-dressed
100%
characters. Mm-hmm. My favorite things that she wears is not the like stuff that she like wore at her job. It was like the stuff that she would
when you
her
see her at
homeware
night,
with her like giant thing of popcorn and her giant red wine.
Just cozy
and
everything.
It was like you just knew everything was cashmere and everything was silk 100%. And it was all like cream.
It was always white, like,
and white and gray.
Good, yes.
Just I saw it.
This is
when it like came out. I was like, that is an Olivia Pope outfit, and I'm gonna get it.
I
like,
love
that's
it.
What I remember.
That is 100%. And I'm actually now I'm like, if you were cozied on a seat, not with this color, right? But if you had an extra blanket around your arms or something, and this was just something that was an extra like body warmer or something. No, it's not working.
But she part of the reason I'm thinking about her is because she did the glove thing. She wore the long gloves all the time. And that was one of the things that I was just like, I don't know that I can pull this off.
You can. She can she? 100%.
Yeah,
I totally can. And you need like stiletto, like patent leather heels.
Yeah. That was like
easy.
10 years ago. When's the last time I put stilettos on? I used to be able to do almost everything in stilettos. Wow. I mean, I'm 5'2".
Oh, I was going to say.
My husband is like over a foot taller than me. Yes. Like, stilettos was a lifestyle.
That is. My best friend is still one of my best friends. Growing up, she was 5'1", 5'2", 5'1", and so she would always be. She was like a pro.
Yeah.
Yes.
It also just allows you to wear the pants that you want to wear.
Right. This makes sense.
Especially like in the 90s when everything was like flares. If you don't wear the heels, then you don't get to have flares.
That's right. That's right.
Because you gotta hem them, and then they're not big anymore. And then what's the point?
I had the opposite problem.
That's true.
It was hard to wear heels because if it was too, now it's cool to have flares that come out earlier than where your shoes are, but at the time that was not. But I still wore heels anyway, even though it was putting me over 6 feet.
Yeah. I'm having a moment of feeling like cream and navy. You and cream and navy is just like a look.
In cream and navy? Yeah. Like with,
like color-wise.
Yeah.
Like I love that color on you.
I love this color too.
I mean, I do think that it's the perfect It's really
It's
perfect
gray,
cream
but
gray.
cream, like
exactly. It's this perfect like warm, cool, medium place.
It is really, really, really pretty.
And I do think that the halo makes a big difference. Like the white mohair makes a big difference. But it's been fun.
It's not a white though, right? It's like more of like a natural white.
It's not a yellow leaning white, but it's not like a bleached white.
Yeah. This is really pretty.
Yeah.
All right, speak about this.
I already spoke about this.
I just felt like you're putting on. Okay.
Well, how many do you have left?
No, I just have 2. I have 1.5.
Okay. I have a whip. I brought this because of the whip.
Okay.
So I am very excited about this one.
I think partly I also just want to wear this a little longer.
You can wear it.
Yes! Whoa! Oh, I have wanted to see this for so long. Like, I love that you made this.
Okay. It's not done yet, although I'm like, could it be done?
It could be.
Okay.
100%. Although you're gonna have the same problem.
I am gonna have the same problem. This is a theme.
Oh my gosh.
Andrea Mowry's Traveler hoodie. Is that right? Andrea Traveler hoodie. In my handspun.
Beautiful.
So the reason I have this shawl is because if you want to hear about this, you can hear us talk about it forever and ever on the last episode. I had so much fun spinning and knitting this shawl that I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna spin and knit the hoodie. There also happens to be a knit along she's hosting a year-long knit along spin to knit anything in the Traveler series. And then there's also the DRK March to May Cal. So I was like, all the things.
Look at you. Hope you win a prize.
That would involve me actually posting something on Instagram related to knitting. So
you're part of the Cal without actually posting.
No, but when Cals happen, there's this like emergence of different inspiration. So I spun this out of this is all Bramble Ridge combed top. There are multiple colorways. Hang on, let me back up. Okay, so one of the things that I adored about this shawl was I spun it from Rose from Akari Yarn's advent calendar. And so there was a color story because Rose is a genius. And I added some braids added some additional fiber in order to get the color story. But this is like 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 different braids that came together into this. And so if you're a spinner who, like me, cannot not like sees some comb top and is like, that color is so pretty, let me get 100 grams. The Traveler series is for you. Right. Because you can put all of those, they'll all work together. Yes. And the texture pattern,
how that works, but I guess it just does. You're about to tell us.
Yeah, so the texture pattern, it's like knits and pearls, it's like garter ridges, and so you get this sort of subtle stripe that allows handspun to sort of play in a way that makes sense. Now, of course, with Megan, you could probably just close your eyes, grab comb top, and spin it together, and it would be gorgeous. Yes. But for me, what I ended up doing is that there are 4 different colorways. There's 3 colorways. There's a colorway called Oscar, a colorway called Herb Garden, and a colorway called Scruff. And I loved the Oscar colorway so much and had no chill over the past 6 months that I had 100 grams in merino, 100 grams in BFL Glow, 100 I just had it in like same colorway, different bases, and I like mixed everything together. So it's the reason I keep saying it's 4. I spun it together. So most of this was I randomly chose. Most of it. So it's a 3 ply, and 2 of the plies are Oscar, and then the 3rd ply is a mix of Herb Garden and Scruff.
Okay, gotcha.
And I did that to sort of like in my head even out because there were all different kinds of fibers, and to sort of even it out because I can only do so much color play. I was like mostly Oscar with some pops, but the concept was like the mossy green forest, and I feel like it's like a mossy green
Nailed
forest.
It. Yes.
Super happy with it.
You might as well be a rock. Like with just a bunch of lichen and.
I'm going to Scotland in September, and when I knew that that was going to happen, and I realized that I love the shawl, and I saw all of these like different braids that I could put together, I'm like, this is my like Scotland traveler hoodie, right? Makes total sense. This was a joy to spin. It's a joy to knit, and I chose to do the hood. Now the hood is all Haunui fiber, which, you know, I feel is just my most favorite fiber in the entire world. You can pat my head.
Pretty you look in that hood.
And I had so much fun doing a fade. So here I sort of started with Herb Garden, and then I faded into Oscar, which again is like just one of those ways that
that brownie green is so pretty.
That I think makes the spinning experience fun, and also the knitting experience fun, because you're just like, oh, it's changing, and I couldn't figure out the fade with what I had in the body, but I was like, I can do it in the hood. I can hide it. Andrea Mowry is a genius.
Yeah, she is.
I don't actually normally wear hoods. Like if there's like a sweater and it comes in like a crew neck or like a hooded version, I almost always go for the crew neck. But this hood that she has created, the way that she does it with short rows, and there are all these like brilliant details, like you make a little I-cord and you feed it through, and she shows you how to like finish. Like, look how nice that finish is.
That is so pretty.
Like, and it just feels so ridiculously cozy.
And this is in the round, right? That's a false seam?
So it's in the round, and then this part is flat.
Okay.
Then, because it's like a drop shoulder kind of situation, and then you pick up and you create the hood out of the short rows, which I feel like, I don't know, I'm like, is my head not shaped right for a hood? Because when I look at it this way, it's not super flattering. However,
good.
I feel like
that looks so pretty. It sits beautifully.
It sits beautifully.
Yeah. It actually has almost like it has actually a fold line, like where this comes, so it actually like makes itself fall.
Because Andrea Mowry is a genius.
That's true.
That's true. It's just so much fun. It's the coziest ever. And I had no chill, and I was in the garden last weekend because it's gardening time. And I was wearing, I think, like a long sleeve, like a bamboo or something like that. And then the sun sort of like went behind the clouds, and I had stopped like doing the heavy lifting. I was like, oh, I think I'm kind of like, I'm just like a little bit chilly. And it happened to be just like over a chair, and it's unfinished, like there were supposed to be arms.
Yeah.
But I put it on, and then I was like putting around the garden, and I was like, I feel like an earth fairy. Like I feel like a little like garden forest thing. And I was like, if this arm was not so gigantic, I would probably just stop here.
It's not that gigantic.
You don't think it's that gigantic?
No. I don't know. I don't think anybody would notice that.
Again, this was another moment where I realized my freaking row gauge, because I do think that the arm is a little bit, I mean, we'll see. When I look at it here, it feels like I could fit 2 arms in the armhole. And again, that's the row gauge.
Right.
That's me not, I don't adjust for row gauge, and I feel like in drop shoulder patterns, or like, I need to start adjusting for row gauge.
But didn't we, I feel like we covered that you could, didn't we come to a conclusion that you couldn't?
You can in this one. If I had thought about it sooner, I could. Like because you're sort of knitting back and forth for a while, and then there is shoulder shaping.
Right? Okay.
So I would do less of this before the shoulder shaping.
Right.
So I feel like if this were smaller, I would absolutely just like poncho wear it. Like if it could be like that, then I would probably like finish this with an I-cord and then just like call it a day.
Like
it's really
if you were to knit this out, it's like in some ways it'll pull it down, but it might be quite big.
Yeah, so I don't really know. I'm a little bit like nervous because like, okay, here you can see how ginormous the arm.
I almost actually am now thinking it looks better maybe as it is, because otherwise you're going to have an arm, like you're going to have to start, even if you're decreasing, it still has to start there.
So I don't know.
Is that what she has in her thing, or like it's a lot?
Like, I mean, the arms are big when I look at other versions. The arms on the other versions are quite big, but it seems to work. And I feel like I always think that my armholes, like I always, I'm like, wow, these arms are really big. And then you put it on, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so there is, I can also like more aggressively decrease it so that it comes to it gets smaller by the end.
Or even almost like leave it open and then like cinch it,
like
kind
a
of like a
balloon.
Yeah, but like a sweatshirt balloon.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spun up half of the sleeve yarn, so I could try it, but
I mean, that's one thing I love about a picked up sleeve, because you can always rip it back. Like it's contained in and of itself.
Yeah.
It gets to stay there. You can always take it off after.
Yeah. So it was just so fun to do.
Aww,
and
I really need to knit one of these.
Knitting, like, I feel like all my handspun is just going to become traveler things. She has a cowl, she has this, there's the crew neck version. Because
knowing you, that's probably accurate.
Yes, because we've had the conversation on this podcast about how I don't love the horizontal striping that happens with handspun, and some, like, it's the main reason I don't knit with variegated yarn, is because for me aesthetically I just don't love the like width that creates.
And yet this is all that.
But there's something about this that I feel like just works.
Maybe it's your idea that you can change, like that you don't like stripes, because it looks
stripes?
So pretty. Like, how wonderful. Like, if that was the reason that you didn't like, if the reason that you didn't like it was true, there shouldn't really be an exception, because this is striped and it shouldn't look good.
I think maybe I'll rephrase. I don't love how handspun stripes, like if you were just to spin a braid and then knit stockinette across.
Me too. Yes,
like,
I agree.
It works for some people. It just doesn't seem to work for me. But this does. Like, something about the garter ridges, all the like texture and the way that it sort of plays together. This hood is the coziest thing in the entire world.
It fits you really nicely, because I mean, I'll try yours on, because when I put a hood on, every single time I look like I'm from Monty Python. Like, I look like Holy Grail.
So this is not a good, like, this is what I was like, the side profile on the hood is not particularly wonderful.
Who looks at the side profile of a hood?
But like, because you have the drawstring, you can also like
cute,
like fully like envelop yourself.
It's really cute.
Not that I would ever wear it like this.
Well, that's where it starts to get like, I look like a soldier from,
like the medieval times. I think we've talked about this before, right?
This may happen in a second when I put it on. Every single time it's been that way, but it doesn't look like that on you.
But lots of, like, it's just so fun, because again, there's interest, right? And I feel like if you're not a spinner, I do think that this pattern is a pattern where all the sort of like feeder brook and entropy decay, like all of the and spin cycle and all those kinds of things, or like Noro, you could do it in. Like, there's just so many.
Do it with any like variegated. Yeah, because that's what we're kind of making as our handspun. Yeah. So you'd think that you should be able to.
And like, Advent yarn. Oh yeah, right.
Because there's never anything to make with those
except for a blanket, right? And
which I still haven't done.
This is basically a blanket that you get to wear.
Even better.
Even better. You want to try it on?
Yes, I do.
Anyhow, I did bring it on because one, I was excited about it, and also to be like, do I keep it short? Should I add sleeves? What do we think, friends?
Okay, you know what I think. We don't need to hear from you. We need to hear from you. Thank you. Oh, it's so squishy.
It's so squishy. Okay, so the last point of consideration is that it already weighs like 440.
I was just, when I touched it, I'm like, this is heavy. I was surprised that you're okay with that.
And so I'm like, what's interesting is it's like 440 grams is what of handspun. 440. Guess how much of that is the hood?
200?
Almost. Like, the hood is enormous.
It is.
Like, Elliot was like, you're looking very Lord of the Rings-ish. And I was like,
At least I don't feel like I'm like, I don't feel Monty Python.
Yeah.
This, I couldn't leave it. So it worked for you, but I couldn't leave it. I think it's too like high on my arm to leave. I would have to extend, I would have to have the lungs. But you didn't have it like that.
No. That color looks so good on you.
Yeah.
But it's very heavy.
Looks good on me though. I feel like, I don't know.
Well, you need the arms.
I do need the arms.
You need the arms. Because you're having a cap sleeve moment.
That's, yeah, but like a cap that's
like
not
up.
like capped enough.
Yeah.
Like it's like
an in-between place. It's coming out like a cap sleeve. But I think for you, if you added, it is very heavy. So this was my thing is like, if I had the arms, given how like ginormous my armholes are, I wonder if it's going to end up being way too heavy.
It might be, but I think you've kind of gone past the
point of no return.
And past the point of like a non-heavy sweater. Like,
it's already so heavy.
So like, it's kind of like, if you added sleeves, is it going to be so much more heavy? I can feel the weight of that. Look at that.
The hood is enormous.
The weight of that hood.
The hood is enormous.
Whoa.
The hood was almost 200 grams.
Jeez. That must have taken
just on the hood.
That's a lot of knitting.
It was a lot. I was like,
it's a cowl
this hood
itself.
is basically the body.
Just like wrap that around.
That would make a really beautiful traveler's cowl. So when I knit this again, I'll be knitting the crew neck version.
When you knit it again,
I will. I have so many plans. I have all of my like little braids, all of my like disparate 100-gram braids.
So cute.
I became quite, as I do, enamored with certain ideas, and I like put them all in little bags together. It's like,
so
okay, 400, you will be friends. And you will be friends.
I have to go through mine. I've got like so much fiber
so fun.
that I have not, but I'm still not doing. Like, I've just now finished a bunch of things right now. I have this like moment. Well, I still have a bunch of whips, but I'm gonna do my turtle dove
palette cleanser.
But then there's this other part of me that's like, well, finish your spinning too. Like, you could do that, but then I don't know. I was like, I was all spinning and off my knitting, and now it's like I'm all on my knitting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very pretty.
Traveler. You will get ready. You will be seeing a lot of these. I feel like the Traveler series is like this year's Fleur for me. I feel like there will always be some sort of like Traveler in process.
Well, it makes sense, and it's so satisfying because there's something about having bought something and then using it. Like when things just sit there and we're not using it, that's painful. So you're just like, talk about check marks. Like every like one of those braids that you use, you're like.
And also it's the idea that like, sometimes I think when people are like, I'm going to do a stash down, or I'm going to do like a scrappy project, I have this sense or this feeling, at least for me, that it's like, okay, I have to like fit these disparate things into something.
Right.
And it feels almost, there's a forcedness to it. Whereas I feel like what I'm discovering about like braids and Handspun and the Traveler series is that you're getting to put things together in such a way that synergistically it becomes greater than the sum of its parts. And that's like super satisfying. Like you have this like beautiful braid. I have many beautiful braids that I was like, I'm gonna make a hat, I'm gonna make a cowl. And then as I started to spin and I realized like, oh, this is how, I don't really know, but I have a better sense of like how it looks in the braid is not how it ends up looking in yarn. And then you end up with like barber pulling, you end up with like color things. And so I bought a lot of braids imagining like, oh, I can use this for color work. And it turns out, no, you can't use it for color work.
Yes.
And so it's like beautiful, but I feel sad because it has nowhere to go.
I have a bunch of these.
Like, it's not like, I'm like, I just don't, you're so beautiful and I need to make something with you, but I have not a clue what I'm going to make out of you except for a musselburgh hat, which I don't want.
Which I still don't want. Right? I don't want a musselburgh hat of that anyway.
Yeah, I knit one in like one of my favorite braid colors. I knit not the musselburgh, but the leaf hat, which is the musselburgh plus ribbing, because I was like, giant stockinette tube, it's not going to fit this head. I need ribbing. So I had like the ribbing and then the stockinette in it. And again, the way that the color distribution happened, I'm like, this is making the braid look not pretty. Like this beautiful braid is turning into this like not beautiful finished object, which is upsetting.
Yes.
But I feel like the Traveler series is like the answer to all of those problems. Is that
this is what you keep showing me.
Yeah. So
over and over.
And everybody, good luck.
Maybe I will do it. Maybe.
I mean,
I would like to do it.
I feel like it will just, I feel even the process though of like making little families of braids of being like, this is gonna look like that. I just want to go and look at my stuff. I know.
It'll be like one of those lists, right? Like I may never do it.
You may never, but for them to like come together, I think it's like a way of having like a win and having some like joy from what you already have.
It's like when you're on Pinterest and you pin something and you feel like you've done it. That's what I feel like. I'm like, it's as if I've done the craft.
Yes.
But I haven't. I just pinned it. But I was like, oh, good for me.
The possibility.
Good for me. I just did that. Yeah.
So much
I'm gonna make that
dopamine.
at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I love it.
Yay.
Cool.
All right. You have 1.5.
I have 1.5. I am going to quickly show because then I can change out of this thing. But this is I remembered, so I'm not going to talk much because you can look on the last one about all the details, but I had not blocked my sweater number 28 from my favorite things. So I thought I would just show you. Now I blocked this. You might have a look at how big. Look at how wide that is. I blocked it. I don't think I stretched it, but I did. Oh, look at you. Of course, here we go. Well, you could have told me you were wearing that. Then I could. Well, anyway, we could have. Do you want to introduce it?
No. You go.
I'll hear from Jackie in a second. But I just wanted to show the drape of how beautiful this
Ended up being.
Oh, I just tuck it in a little bit. And like this, I'm wearing all the
So
time.
effortless.
Like, look at that.
Do you feel like it grew a ton?
100%. Yeah.
Which way did it grow for you?
Both.
Both.
And I think I didn't try not to make it do that though. Like,
Yeah.
so I let it, like, look at how long these sleeves are.
Yeah.
But they're perfect to me. Like they don't get in the way, and they're also like, and when I do this, they're not too short, like we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
So they come to this place, and like, it's just like, look at this beautiful sweater. Isn't it just?
This is another Olivia Pope.
It is
sandal sweater.
It is. And this just quickly is again the cashmere, the Luxe cashmere, sport Luxe.
Sunday morning
Sport Luxe with mohair. So that's why I wanted to feel yours. I just honestly just feel like it's one of the most beautiful sweaters.
It is.
Just like this one. So what is this?
This is the
Luxe Sport.
So if you just go back to watch last episode when Carmen puts this thing on, you can see the hard eyes. And I put it on and I was just like, what the F, I need the sweater. And so I cast it on.
I made it.
It's
gorgeous.
So this is the sweater number 28. So I don't know what happened. Okay. So this is the sweater number 28 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I also, same yarn combination. The Sunday morning Luxe Sport with Halo. I want to call it the base, but that's not. The sport weight is the same as this.
Okay.
But the mohair that I used was catnap, which is really beautiful, taupey, pinky brown.
Mm-hmm.
So I had so much fun because I thought that this was gonna use a lot more yarn than it ended up. I ended up with extra skeins. So I was like, well, what can I do with it? And so I thought I would play with adding a different mohair. It's kind of amazing, right?
It's amazing
to think about
how it can be.
how much it changes. And I do love a darker mohair on a lighter base.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what happened to the neckline. I don't know why my neckline is so enormous.
And it does funny things too, I guess.
Like, it's really big. Like, it's ridiculously big.
Wow.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's my gauge. I don't know if I cast on the wrong things.
If anything, yours is smaller than mine.
Yeah, so if you want to knit this pattern, there's no way to adjust the neckline, like the size of the neck. So I don't know what happened here, but mine is very floopy, and because it was, and then what was I gonna say? So there's a certain number of repeats for the neckline. Can you imagine what this looked like shorter? It was so big and gapey and bizarre that it was like this, that I went back and ripped out the cast on and then picked up and knit up this way.
Wow, you did a great job. I can't see where that...
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's helpful because it's hidden in the garter. So I made it longer with the intention of folding it in, which is what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks great.
Modifications I made on this is that I knit one less repeat before joining for the round.
Okay.
I knit the smallest size, and okay, so you cast it on in the round, and then you knit the front, and then you sort of split for front and back, and you knit the front and back flat, and then you join it back together in the round. So there's a certain number of repeats of this like little segment before you go back in the round. So because of I just looked at it and I was like, I think the armhole is gonna be like enormous if I follow the pattern. Yeah. I dropped 1 repeat, so my numbers are different from what's in the pattern. I think it's gorgeous. This I wear constantly. Yeah. Yeah. Like just constantly. So even with the neck that I'm not like is not perfect. That's nice. It feels really nice. It's just the ultimate cozy sweater. I love this color. It's gorgeous. Of course you do. Of course I love this color. I might love it more than I like I mean I love both, but yes, there's something about this. I really like the catnap version that unexpectedly came out a lot nicer than I anticipated, and so I'm going to be doing a lot of mohair on a cream or a gray or a white because I think it just is beautiful. So is yours though. Thank you. I mean, I love it. I needed one.
But I know you can like see the look at the color story lately. Like, I had them all like sitting. I'm like, okay, a lot of like same kind of color,
same colors. So yeah, the pattern. I remember one of you left a comment that was like, explain, especially for you who does not like ribbing. Explain how you knit an entire sweater of ribbing. Yeah. This was the sweater that I took when I was traveling. Yeah. And I'm gonna say that this is the perfect traveling knit.
I had it traveling too.
Yeah, because it's like it's rhythmic, it's meditative. You can read it, but it's like doesn't take a chart in a lot of things. You can just like pick it up and do a couple of rows. Yep. And again, there's something about like the number of garter ridges, then you switch to ribbing, and then like literally just before you're like, I'm tired of ribbing, they're like, now you do the garter, and then I do actually feel like this fell off my needles.
You did that quite fast.
I did it quickly. Yes. I mean, I was on planes for like 28 hours, so you know. And there are sections where it's flat, so suddenly your garter doesn't have pearls. Yeah.
And then you're like, well, this is fun. And then you go back to
as somebody,
and there's no ribbing at the bottom. Funny enough, I'm like, thank God for no ribbing, even though I've already done a bunch of ribbing.
But it's perfect. Yeah. Funnily enough, like, as somebody who if you were to sort of ask me previously, like, what's your favorite sweater construction? I would say top down in the round, raglan / contiguous. That's my favorite. I've knit a whole bunch of things that are like, that are not that, that are flat and have all of these sections. And I feel like I'm having an epiphany about how when things have different sections, they seem to go faster.
100%. Like, there's so much more
interesting. Because in my head, I'm like, oh, I want a fast sweater, or like, you know, Newton comes in and I'm like, I must have this on my body. Like, what am I gonna knit? Okay, like, let me do another easy like Sunday morning, because it's just like easy and it seems to move really quickly. But there's something about a drop shoulder and like segments that creates a momentum that's really lovely. And I feel like this is one of those like momentum knits. Yes. Where it's simple and momentous, and then the finished product for me is just perfect. It's my favorite shape.
It's my favorite shape now, and it's exactly the opposite of what I used to say I liked. Yeah. But I love this.
We're changeable.
I feel like I'm just wearing a blanket, but a really high fashion blanket. Like, you know, like that it's just like, I just feel like editorial.
I feel like Olivia Pope.
Yeah. Olivia Pope. I need a big glass of red wine.
I'm really much more about the giant popcorn and the hot man.
Cashmere joggers.
Yes.
My Shavasana socks.
Yeah. And so this was one of those ones that I was like, you know, my little like four square of like, okay, yoga retreat stuff, professional stuff, for the like art of it, for the energy of it. It hits energy, it hits professional. I didn't think that I would be wearing this like to work, but it seems to be the one that I wear.
I love it.
Like, it's the one that I pull.
Yes. I would also wear this in Shavasana though.
And yoga retreat. It's like
100%.
I didn't know how I would feel about the bigger sleeves. Like, y'all know that I tend to like a tight sleeve.
Yeah, does yours wing out like mine?
No,
not the same.
a
I don't know what
little
I did.
No, it does, because the ribbing is, it does a little bit. Like if I laid it flat, you would be able to see.
Yeah.
But my sleeves ended up being smaller because I did one less repeat, so my like armhole depth is smaller.
Makes sense.
But of course I have a second version on my needles, and the second version I'm going to do the deeper. I'm gonna try the deep armholes.
Yeah.
Because I did love yours when I tried it on, and this was a little bit of yarn chicken as well, is that I was using the skeins that I hadn't.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I added one. This was less than 3 skeins of the Sunday morning Luxe Sport, and it was 82 grams of mohair.
Yeah.
So
because mine was less than 3 too.
Yeah.
Just keeps going. It's really amazing.
That really is one of the things about that's really satisfying to me about like fingering and sport weight yarn. As somebody who like worked with Knitwear, who like, you don't know what the yardage is, but you just know, okay, I've got 2 loaves, I'm good, or I've got like 4 loaves, I'm good to hold it double stranded. I feel like on most patterns that I knit, I end up using less than what's called for.
Well, and they do always give like 10 to 15% extra, for sure. And I think that even in our skeins, there's more than what it says. What it says, you know, 100. But even this one, I'm pretty sure I have to look again, but I'm pretty sure this was only 2.
Yeah, 2 skeins.
2 skeins.
Fingering.
Yeah. Like they just go far.
Yeah, and like to think about like your artists also. That you.
And these, like, I mean, if you just have little minis, I think they barely took anything. The contrast colors, like I have so much left.
It depends.
Really?
Oddly, it does depend, because I remember looking and I'm playing a little bit of yarn chicken with my Knitted.
Well, some of them,
some
the
of
brown
them
has more.
like
yeah. But these ones, like the red and the pink. Yeah. Purple.
5 colors is really fun and also kind of daunting.
Yeah. It is, and they have to flow into each other.
Because you have to think about so many like relationships. I remember when we were doing, when we were having the grand discussion about the artists, it was like, this one has to relate to this one, has to relate to this one. I
wanted one to look like, you know, be an offshoot of, like 2 of them had to be offshoots of each other, and then a separate.
You know, as I'm looking at this, part of what I love, maybe I'm gonna do this thing that you did. Part of what I love about your flipping it is that if your navy were in the center, then it would be symmetrical.
Yes.
But because you flipped it, it's kind of like, it's off in a way that's really interesting.
Yeah.
As opposed to having that navy sort of like, so that you're having like a traditional stripe.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
right.
Because often stripes are centered.
Yes.
I like that little bit of off.
And this was made on purpose, these 2 colors, because I wanted them to be related to each other, like almost like that they would flow into each other. And so I would have been upset actually if it ended up not being there. So it ended up being.
It also kind of played. To me, the pink is the pop.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if
funny
that makes sense.
Red,
like you would think, but to me, when I look at this, what pops is the pink, and so your pop is in the center.
True. Oh yeah, that's right.
Which also sort of makes sense from an aesthetic point of view. What did I want to say? There was something else I wanted to say about the sweater number 28. Oh. Super quickly, I will show version number 2 is a Knitted because I can't not have Knitted on the needles. This is 2 negative equals 1 positive. Single stranded.
That's single.
Held with. Okay, this. I don't know. This is not gonna come up.
Oh, I'm stealing this one already.
Is the most beautiful mohair. It is by a dyer from Canadian dyer from Winnipeg, Fireweed Fiber Company. Fireweed. Oh no, we'll link it below. You can't see. I wish I probably should have brought this skein. Maybe you can see a little bit. So first of all, it's called dark chocolate. It is the most luscious brown, but if you look really closely, it has little dots and pops of navy blue and an aubergine.
Oh yum.
Which look at all the sunspots.
Yeah. Oh, I can totally see it.
Which I feel like again is adding that quiet interest that you won't be I don't think the eye can pick out the pops, but between the Knitted in pops, I'll show you the Knitted in by itself.
Yes.
Like I I have a lot of trouble holding knitted in with other things because the knitted in itself is so delicious.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's possible that in this case I've successfully like improved on knitted in, which is very hard to do.
Yes, I agree.
But the fabric this makes, like, obviously we love this BFL Massam. Yeah. BFM Massam cashmere. I worked with this at a smaller gauge for a test knit for Bella. And when I put on Carmen's sweater, she knit one needle size up for me. Like, I think I did my test knit on a US 5, which is a 3.75. And you had knit this on a US 6, which is a 4 mil. And I remember I was very happy with my test knit. I still love that sweater. But when I put yours on, I was like, I have failed the Sunday morning Luxe Sport. It needed a little more breathing room. It needed more breathing room. Like, it just was a completely different fabric. Like, you might as well, if you had told me this is a different yarn, I would be like, yeah, it's a different yarn.
It even looked different color.
Yeah, it did look a different color, which was really interesting. Anyhow, this in knitted in, I'm like,
it is absolutely luscious.
What I will say is that for
too.
any of you who are thinking about this knit, I think part of the genius of it is the ribbing. Like, or if you're thinking about, like, why would I want to knit an entire sweater that is ribbed? You want to knit an entire sweater that is ribbed because the fabric that it makes. Yeah.
It would not be the same sweater if you didn't
have the ribbing. And so this, you know, I did a little bit of a steam block, and I just
it is really luscious. I already am gonna steal it, so just get that knit, please.
But I dropped the number of, I cast on fewer stitches in order to get the I think what is the more appropriate turtleneck situation. So
that's awesome.
You will continue to see this.
Significantly different. That's so much darker. It's so nice.
But I do, right? Darker mohair on.
It's nice.
Happy. My plan actually was I was trying to knit both of these within eclipse season because there was like a lunar eclipse and a total solar eclipse, and I was like, can I have eclipse sweaters? It didn't happen because there's only so many hours. But like.
How many things you've knit in this past, like,
the Umma I cast on in December, so the Umma has been going on for a very long time.
Like, the other test knit, you knit this, you knit your, like, the Traveler. All of these things are since.
All of these things started early. It's not like I started and ended them. I did start and end the test knit. I did start and end this one. The Traveler and the Umma have been going on for a while, but all right.
Beautiful. Well, I have one more test knit that I did. This was a, I actually have to take my shirt off, so I'm going off camera.
This is normally me.
Yes, usually this is what you do. I just was like, I don't know, I had this like moment. I saw this little test knit by Park Williams, Park and Knit, and it was a little
it's so cute.
Make sure I'm like, am I busting out?
Your girls are in? Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, let me tie this. Yeah, so she had this cute little thing called a Gushy garter tank, and I was like, I could use a Gushy garter tank.
That yarn is so fun,
isn't it? And look how, so I made it like kind of, it's a little crop thing. Like,
looks so cute with the skirt, with a full skirt.
So, right?
Yes.
I am very, very happy with how this turned out. Very, very fast. Garter, although garter in the round, so you're almost like, damn it. You know, like
I was looking at the side, I'm like, dang, how did you seam it?
Yeah.
You did not.
I did not. So there's a, oops. Okay, good. I thought I put it on inside out. So you can see there's a fake seam here. And
this is a test knit?
It's a test knit
When's it
from
come out?
Park Williams. Park and Knit. She sent me, I could have looked at this. She sent me the pattern, so I'm pretty sure it's out. Might be out right already. Check it out.
Let me look.
Gushy garter tank. It has this very pretty like square neckline.
The square
and
neckline
it's a little
looks
bit lower
so gorgeous.
in the back.
It's out.
It's out. Perfect. Perfect.
At least 2 days ago.
I made this so she put the test knit call out, and I'm like, oh, like that seems really fast, and I just want a little like quick project and everything. So I went to Stash, and I had actually from the Birkin I gave you, I had these bright. I had 2 colors. So this is Hello Stella Fibers. It's so old that it was superwash.
Yeah.
That long because she's now
no longer
no superwash. And it's a bright pink and a bright kind of reddy pink.
So
that I just like
perfect.
Yeah, I just marled them together, but they look so similar that they're like it just made this really, really pretty. Kind of busty there.
And sometimes a marl is like, again, I feel like I can, like, I'm close enough that I can see the 2 individual colors.
Yes.
You've up-leveled it by putting them together.
I think so. I like that they were,
have.
and I wasn't sure how much yardage, right? So I was, and so
Right.
you have to hold fingering weight double.
Right.
And that's where I was like, well, if I put them together, then I really don't have to worry, because these were, I didn't know how much was left in, because I didn't have the original anything.
You had used some of it. And
I had so much more than I needed anyway, but I feel like it's really cute, and I just think it's like a nice little summery.
So cute.
Cake. And I will say, she updated it. It's a bit more positive ease than it was supposed to be. Like
you knit it with more ease.
Well, no, like yes, my gauge was right, but because of the garter, and a lot of us ended up with like stretch. It just ended up being stretchier.
Yes.
So she's updated the pattern according to that. I haven't looked at how, but
gotcha.
It'll probably be like a little bit more fitted. But what I really like, I mean, this might not be the best undergarment, but I've worn it with other things that really work. Whereas like some tanks, knit tanks, it's hard with the under stuff. Like this is I just love these sleeves. And mine are slightly thinner because of the way I picked it up and bound off. I ended up with a certain number, 1 less stitch.
In terms of the strap width.
In terms of the width. Yeah, so that would be a little bit more.
Perfect. And like the width of how it's sitting on your body, and like it's the perfect tank.
Thank you. Like I'll actually wear this. You know?
Yes.
I'll wear it.
And it looks so cute with a full skirt.
Thank you. And I've worn it also with like high-waisted, I got like yoga, like Lululemon, but like kind of harem Lululemon pants that have like are high up. Anything that's kind of high, because I don't want to, you know, I'm in my 40s. Like I'm not really going to be all like midriff. Midriff.
Yeah.
Open. I guess I could. We'll see.
I kind of like, I have a lot of those, like, you know, I call them like just big flowy wide like pants that are like high-waisted.
Yes.
And I'm not a midriff girl, but I do sort of like when it hits exactly. Yeah. And there's like, sometimes there's like the teeny tiny little peak when you just like move and then it like goes away.
Yes.
Like I feel like that's with your skirt, it's so perfect.
Yes. By the way, that little thing, that's cute.
So cute.
This skirt,
this
by the way,
seam is also like, I don't know if it's a slip. Anyhow, it's
a
so
slip.
Cute.
Yeah, just a slip. It's easy. All of these things.
Cute.
It was a very, very fast, enjoyable knit, and I knit it specifically out of superwash actually because I wanted it to be cooler. Because superwash isn't as like worn. Right. And in the summer you don't always want to put on a wool. I don't want to put on something woolly, and this really won't be.
Yeah. It's that time of the year. Where I'm like, spring is my favorite season, so I'm like really happy that it's spring. At the same time, I also feel like this is the time of year where I'm like, all my like woolies, like I'm always knitting in wool. I knit in Nutridin plus mohair through the summer, but normally I switch to like single stranded instead of like double stranded. But this is the year that I am really thinking about summer knits, because it's really lovely to wear handmade. Yes. And then the summer hits and I'm like, I don't have anything handmade. Mm-hmm. So I have one last whip that for those of you who are maybe thinking about summer knits, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere with us, let me know what your favorite like summer knit pattern Yes,
type
pattern.
of
Like what yarn, fiber, what fiber you're working with. Because last year I was like, I'm gonna do summer knits, and I tried the knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which comes in delicious colors and seems like it's gonna be really nice. And I did not love the process of working with it. I have, however, found, I believe that I found my like summer knit fiber. So this is a whip. Now this was a total crazy cast on. Like I like saw the pattern, bought it, cast it on, and couldn't believe how much I actually knit of it, but I just couldn't stop. Let me just get the right side. So this is the Kanno's Resistance Tee.
Kanno's Resistance.
K-A-N-N-O. Let me make sure that I get the designer's name correct. Hang on. Ooh. The designer is Elizabeth Margaret Knits. Her and her like knitting bestie Jen Perricini, they sort of combined, and they have a studio, like they have a company studio design business called One Wild Design. So if you're looking on Instagram and you go to One Wild Designs, you'll see it. It's this really cute lace top.
I love it.
And I cast it on with the intent of wanting a cropped t-shirt to wear with all of my like high-waisted flowy summer pants and dresses. So I mean, I think the front lace is really gorgeous, but like,
look at
this.
Oh,
come on!
That is gorgeous.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I don't know how this is.
Pretty.
I've steam blocked it.
So
I haven't wet blocked it. But if you are looking for a summer fabric from somebody who like is like knitted in or dye / BFL Massam, this is a silk linen from Brittany of Crooks Fibers. This is like not deep stash. I bought it last year when I was like, I'm gonna knit summer things. Then I tried the knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and I was like, my hands and my soul are dying. I quit.
This is very soft.
It's 65% silk and 35% linen, and it is a joy to work with. And I feel like
it's so drapey.
It's so drapey.
It's so soft too. Like the linen sometimes
there's
can
something
be
about the linen
but it's not.
That is so beautiful. I feel like the stitch definition, like if you like lacy summer tops, is like
really beautiful,
really great. Like I'm not a great lace knitter. Like I
don't know if I've really seen you knit very much lace.
I don't knit very much lace, but when I saw the back of this, I was like, I must have it. I must have it.
And it's knit flat then?
It's knit flat.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Sorry, it's knit in the round, and then you split for front and back. I'll talk about this more once it's finished, but because of summer tops and thinking about summer things, I thought I would just
yes,
I thought I would bring it. I made a massive amount of modifications to this, so I'll talk about it after it's complete. Well, I guess I can talk about it a little bit now. So if you look at the original pattern, let me find a good photo of it. If you look at the original pattern, look how gorgeous it is. It's quite a long, sorry, I just stepped on you. You can see that it's, come on, focus.
Yes, I like it the way you have it all boxy.
It's quite long. Let me try another picture of it here. You can kind of see how gorgeous she is. It's quite long, and also the arms are long. So it's like a drop shoulder, and then you pick up the arm and you, the sleeves, like it's a T, but the sleeves come all the way to the elbow, which for me is not a proportion that I like, and I don't think will look right because I significantly cropped it. So I haven't decided what I'm gonna do about the arms.
I don't like them as they are, like just kind of finishing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So I did something kind of wacky, which is that in the original pattern, okay, so let me back up for a second. So I have been watching these two designers and watching One Wild Designs for like a while, because these are two women who I feel like are genius level when it comes to construction and fit.
Never heard
And they like have courses and tutorials and all of this information about like
Checking out
how
tonight.
to knit to fit your body and things like I haven't like read all their stuff, but like how to measure your body so that you get the perfect fit, how to know how many short rows you should be doing, how to adjust shoulders. And so there's all of this stuff where if you look at their designs, it's perfectly fit.
Wow.
And
Hey guys, they're just having a little fight.
The schematic, the number of like things on the schematic that you can adjust and modify and all that kind of stuff is tremendous. So I've wanted to knit one of their patterns for like a very, very long time. Like nothing sort of leaped out until this leaped out, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna knit it. That said, I feel like I have totally not honored their genius because
Even though they gave you so many options
Yes.
to
Well,
mod it, you still modded it in
modded
ways
it.
that they
Well,
didn't offer.
so one of the things that in the pattern, there's a lot of hip shaping because it's long, right?
Oh,
there's like all
course.
these there's all this hip shaping, and so the number that you cast on, if you're doing the hip shaping, you're gonna end up like with fewer.
Yes.
So because I was doing it so boxy, I'm like, I can't
No.
have
you're
hip
not gonna do that.
shaping.
Yes.
And
And you're
so
starting further up.
and I'm starting further up, so I cast on the second size. But because there's no hip shaping, when I sort of split for front and back, I ended up with a top part that had the same number of stitches as the size 3,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And I did it with the thought of maybe if I do that, then I'll end up with kind of like a cap sleeve,
Yeah.
almost. And then I can just knit a little bit of ribbing here as opposed to like adding the sleeve, which makes sense for the proportion of the sample. But again, it was one of those things where your hand is being held line by line, and the shoulder shaping, it's not the same. Like you're doing shoulder shaping on the right side and the wrong side. The ratios are
And the
completely
lace
different.
too,
And the lace, it's a really enjoyable. I feel like the lace, I was not looking at the chart after I finished the first two, because it's just really clever. You can read it. It's really fun.
it's so
And I'm
pretty.
really excited to sort of see how the fit is. I feel like I'm learning a lot about garment construction, and how one shapes the shoulder
Nice.
from it. So I would highly recommend the pattern, even though mine looks nothing like it. I just don't know here what I'm gonna do with the sleeves. I don't know if I was
Wait
like,
until you like, are you done now? And now you're gonna seam?
I have to seam,
And
but
then do
I
you pick up
haven't.
anything, or is this how it
No,
stays?
you pick up. There's a neckline to pick up, and then you would pick up around for the sleeves,
Yeah.
and knit some sleeve, and then do the little like edging. But again, this is part of the reason I had to depart from the design is because the row gauge on this in the pattern is like 40 rows per 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and I have 28, and I'm knitting on a US 2, and I was like, I'm not going any lower. I love the fabric.
No.
And so all of the like beautiful shaping,
Yeah.
I had to do a whole bunch of math in order to make the row,
Yeah.
to adjust for my row
You
gauge.
did a great job.
We'll see when I try it on, but having never worked with like non-wool fiber, I was reading about like silk and linen, and everyone was like, it's gonna grow. So I steam blocked it just to sort of get a sense of it, but I'm gonna wet block it and then sort of see how it actually ends up laying before I seam it. And then I also feel like this is gonna be like the finishing process is gonna take a while, because I feel like I need to wet block it, then seam it. Then after I've seamed it, I feel like I need to wear it a while to kind of see, does it grow? Because I
Yes.
remember your
Before-
ranunculus,
This is what I'm thinking. Like before you do the
neckline.
neckline, or at least
Yeah, I feel like it needs to like have an opportunity to like
because it
drape on me
stretches
and
out, so you
stretch
might wanna
before I
know.
make decisions about it.
Yeah.
I thought like it's really nice in the pattern because you do a rib, so it like brings it closer together.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, because
I
of
like
how
this
wide
look,
and
though.
boaty it is, that I
Yes.
might just do an I-cord.
Yeah.
edge and then add ribbing here. I don't know. But what do you
I
think?
really like it like that, actually.
What are your thoughts, friends? After that test knit for Joanna with the like sort of almost boat neck sweater, I was like, oh,
it's pretty.
I really like a mock neck, but it turns out I really like a boat neck, so I might keep this.
I like
also
it like
in
that.
It being sort of like a summer.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I actually like it more that way.
In its like wideness.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, totally.
But this yarn, friends, 65% silk, 35% linen. Britt's gonna be at Knit City, and I think I saw on her stories a couple of days ago. I tried to go back, but stories don't stay. I think I saw that she is dyeing this base, and I'm gonna become a summer top knitter because I feel like this is the fiber that is gorgeous for summer and makes my hands happy. Also, Britt's dye.
I know.
Style.
Look at that. Can you believe that is hand dyed?
It's hand dyed. Like there's
crazy.
just again, it's like the most subtle tonal.
Yeah.
So it's not really
there's no pooling
or anything like that, but it's just enough that gives it that like little bit of interest.
Just straight.
This is the colorway Myrtle. And for this tee, which is super cropped but has a bust size of 42, this is 150 grams. So I had 2 skeins. This was also the reason why I was like, I need to crop it because, but I think I ended up with I ended up using significantly less yardage. One, because I cropped it significantly, but also because my row gauge is enormous. And this was my epiphany about yarn, because ever since I stopped knitting with Nutridin and started having to like buy yarn based on yardage, I always end up with a skein left over. Yeah. And I realize it's because I tend to crop sweaters because I'm petite.
Yes.
Plus my row gauge is huge. Right. So I like get to I'm like, maybe this is why I knit so fast. That's why you knit
so fast.
Yes.
Yes, because I have a very short row gauge. I go the opposite, so I have to go a million times around.
Yes.
Poor me.
More knitting.
Poor car.
Okay, I've shown you everything, so our next episode I'm gonna have one item.
Well, good, because I'm glad we're having this discussion, because it wouldn't be an episode without you showing up.
Claiming that
it wouldn't be an episode. So then and as you all know, you're probably sitting there going, can Carmen just let that sit? Can she let that sit? But no, still again, no. We'll see, Jackie. We shall see.
My hope, my prayer is that I will have a finished twig sweater for the next episode.
I'm unlikely to.
Because your choice was Artus or Twigs.
It wasn't it?
And so we did this for you all who are coming to Knit City.
Yeah, so you
have one Twigs and one Artus.
That's true. That's true. And you have a couple other things to try on. Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us. Look at us, 2:41.
We did it!
2:41. It's not even like 3 hours at all.
Look, we just needed to get our we had like a 1 hour tangent, and then we just
we were like going.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah,
like all the.
I know. It's
FOs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, did I try this?
No, I don't even think so. I kind of draped it over you, and that was it. What are you doing with your leg? Oh yeah, do you want to try this one too? Oh, it's so pretty.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, I do need to
work
on this. I mean, I wouldn't rip it out, but I did look at it in its little project bag. It's like sort of sitting, because in my like list, the Artus is meant to be knit on in the coming months. I want it done before the end of summer. And I was like, am I gonna do it? But now,
yeah, you should. It's just lovely. What did I do here? Did I miss? I hope that's just a little knot. Sometimes, what do you guys do when you hit the like knots? You know, like where they've just made a little knot, like they've connected to, let's say it's winding on from like a bigger spool or something. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then like it's knotted together.
When there's
and
a knot
like,
in your yarn.
Yeah. And like I would imagine like people probably cut it there, and then like you don't. Okay, so see, I do that. I'm like, it'll be fine, and then sometimes it's not.
It's because of all the years of like not having to worry about joining yarn from Nutridin that I'm like,
reject
there's a knot. What do I do?
I know. Well, I'm
just gonna I like knit it, and I'm like, okay, knot. You just go to the wrong side.
That's what I think. But I think it just went rogue.
Okay, I actually kind of, for me, I do always like
Yeah.
the swoopy shawl, but I quite like the swoopy on me.
It's very nice. It looks very nice. I do like it. It's so nice to see when somebody else wears your thing. Like,
again, this navy and cream.
I know. That's right. That's what you were
Cream.
saying. Yeah, and it was with this one too, right? That's when you were thinking navy and cream. Mm-hmm.
See, I am like, I have to make the triangle smaller in order for it to lay the way that I like it.
Oh, right.
Like I sort of like
And my,
folded it
meanwhile,
in.
I think it's not big enough.
The wingspan or the length?
Maybe the length is okay, but the wingspan,
wingspan.
certainly. Yeah.
Because you like to like.
Well, or at least just have it. I just need it not even that much, just like a tiny bit longer.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like,
think
but
you
maybe
should
not.
reblock it.
Yeah, I think I will.
Because I think
and
that
just,
there's
like,
a lot of.
there's a lot of give I can do because I just stretched it out a little bit, but only with my hands. I think I could do it.
I think you
could
could
pin
do
it.
it. Also, I mean, this fabric is delightful.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I love mosaic knitting is the fabric. I really enjoy the fabric that a mosaic knit makes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you told me once that it takes twice the amount of
Right.
time to do mosaic knitting,
It feels like it does. I don't know.
which I was like, oh my god, because I feel that way sometimes about my various Natasja Hornby shawls, and what I realize is it's the row gauge. So mosaic
Right.
knitting, it's not that you're going over everything twice, it's that the row gauge of a mosaic knit
You shorter?
is shorter than a knit gauge,
Mm.
which is why I've knit a whole bunch of
Right. Right.
mosaic patterns, but remember the trials of the tessellated? That was the problem.
I do.
Is that like you were
Hated
knitting
that.
and knitting and knitting and knitting, but the
Forever.
row gauge, and I like looked at the row gauge on the tessellated,
Was
and
it
I was like,
80?
oh my god, it was like a 375
Oh my
rows
God.
per thing.
That looks really pretty.
It's so pretty.
It is. It's so pretty. I feel very, very satisfied with the looks. I was blocking it yesterday in my room, and it was lying on the ground. And I was doing some yoga, and every time it was behind me, so every time I went into downward dog, I was looking. I'm like, oh, look how pretty! Every vinyasa, I was like, yay!
It reminds me of I mean, I don't actually go to any of these workout classes, but like where people are doing sit-ups, like, and their feet are together, and you're kind of like trying to get to your partner.
To each other, yeah.
It's like we just need
It
to
was
dangle
like
the
that,
shawl.
the
Be like,
shawl. Every time I was like, ooh. But I really was taken aback. I was like, I really like this color. Like these colors. I really,
the
really,
colors are
really feel
gorgeous
happy
together.
about it.
It's funny because in the skein, I mean, cover to cover as a navy is really beautiful. I, of course, as Little Miss Grayscale, like Matinee, which has a little bit more gray in it. But when I'm wearing it like this, I'm like, ooh, do I need a cover to cover sweater? Because
Yes.
that navy is this
Navy
cover to cover is
so
quite
beautiful.
gorgeous.
I love that color navy.
I love that color. Yeah. Okay.
Well, folks, thank you for being here again, for watching us in advance. You haven't watched us yet, but thank you.
If you made it this
if you're
far,
hearing
thank
this,
you.
then thank you. Yeah, we'll be back. So we are back before Knit City. No, we're not. So we'll be at Knit City. We'll do all of that, and then we'll come back soon after that, probably.
Yeah, so if you are in the Toronto area, if you can get on a plane to get to the
Come,
Toronto area,
come. There's so many great
come.
people there.
There's come and find us at the booth. Come let us color play with you.
Please.
Please, please, please. And
I promise I won't drape you unless you say yes. Like, I won't throw this on you. I don't think. I won't.
Because that's just the most horrible thing
Well,
I
I'm just
can
saying,
think
because I
of.
said it earlier, I was like, I'm going to throw it on people. I'm just like, if you're feeling like, actually, that's a little bit like in my space, like, I promise I will not. I will ask you first.
Yes, we will respect everybo's comfort levels, recognizing that
enthusiasm
our
will be
comfort
high.
level is like, let me put my sweater on you.
Yes. Take this. Woof. Try it.
You want to try my sweater on?
Yeah, literally, I'll like take it off.
But I'm really excited that we're gonna be at, I think I just want to play with the colors. That's actually how we ended up supporting Melissa at the show. But what I'm really excited about is the prospect of like, I remember at Rhinebeck, because we didn't understand how Rhinebeck worked, there wasn't necessarily a way that we could be like, come here to find us.
Yes.
So I'm really excited that we can sort of be like, come here and find us.
Yeah. This is where we'll be.
If you've ever done Knit City, like give us your tips in terms of like what happens when the show isn't running. Yeah. Right? Like what are you doing in the evening? What do you do? Where are you going in Toronto? I don't know what we'll be doing, but
we'll be knitting.
We'll be knitting, yes.
That I know. We'll be knitting and talking about knitting.
We'll be in piles of yarn.
And feeling the yarn that we bought and feeling and dream knitting about all the things we still have to get the next day. Like, all the things.
Yeah, I'm trying not to cast anything on because I'm like, I know that if Rhinebeck was any indication, I went to Rhinebeck and, you know, whatever pretend list I had, just like delete it all and start again.
I keep looking at them and I'm like the Bow Layers Orchard, like it's already skeined up. I just like, or like, what am I looking for? Wound up. But just, I'm on my Sonder kick, so like, and then I'm, you know.
I'm so excited to see all the knitwear. And what I was gonna say is like, you know, it's not even the shopping. It's about the.
He just dropped his.
Oh, it's about the inspiration that's gonna come from like being there and looking at other people's knits, and that's why I'm trying not to cast anything on, because like I'm sure if whatever I cast on now, I will be not as excited for it as whatever it is that I see in Knit City.
True.
So I'm trying.
Still another month though.
That's true, but I have to finish my twigs. Which I said it in a way like it's the worst. I have finished the body. I finished one sleeve.
Oh my god, you're totally gonna be done.
I'm gonna be done, except I'm in a place where I have warped 2 sets of needles because my ribbing is on a US 00. And I have snapped one needle and bent one to the point where I cannot no longer ergonomically knit with it. So I have to buy
metal needles.
Yeah. Because a 00 metal needle is basically a syringe. And so I'm like trying to do this 3x3 ribbing, and one of them is like the metal one's like wah, wah, and I tried to like bend it back, and now it's this wavy thing. Well, your tight gauge helps you here because you're not knitting on a 00.
I know, but the reality is it's the same gauge. So you're knitting, yes, it's uncomfortable to be with the needle, but we're still doing the same number of stitches. I'm not getting away with anything. I just don't have to use syringes.
But you'll knit it and it will be the right length for you.
But my row gauge is bad too. It'll be too short. Anyway, you guys don't have to hear this.
Okay, we've devolved.
It may never happen. I don't know if I'll ever finish this thing.
But I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. I don't know what to do. The proportions are all wonky, and I don't know how much ribbing I should do and how long I want it to be. And also because I don't have the needle, I can't actually stretch it out. So I'm trying to make decisions about.
That's my kind of way to do it. Where it's like,
it's really not.
It's all just bunched.
But literally, the stitches are too small for me to use one of those barber cords.
Oh yes.
I can't use a barber cord because the barber cord is too fat for the stitches. I know. So it's like, why?
Oh my god.
Why did I do this? It is very beautiful though. I'm very excited. I'm very, very hopeful that if I can stay on task and stop getting distracted
you
by
will get it done. You'll get it
beautiful things, then I was supposed to finish my twigs instead. I just cast this on and knit it. So, you know, yeah. We hope that we get to see you. If we don't get to see you because you are not in the world, part of the world, or you do not have a life that you can just be in Toronto. I mean, for us, it's like a tiny drive.
Or you're there and you don't want to come by. That's also
whatever.
Okay.
We love you, and we hope that we'll be able to like bring some of the knitspiration and the excitement that comes from getting to just like bathe in creativity and other makers and knitting love, that we can like bring that to you at our next episode, which will be not after Knit City, but sooner than the gap that we took between the last one and this one.
Has it been a long time?
I don't know if it's been I feel like it's been longer than usual because we have a schedule and then we had to move it a couple of times. But who knows? Don't know.
Figure it out.
Sub 3.
Almost not, but sub 3.
Let us know what you're knitting. We love you.
Love you. Bye.